This episode of the BJJ Foxcast is brought to you by BioPro. BioPro is an all-natural alternative to prescription human growth hormone, which aids in recovery, anti-aging, metabolism, libido, immunity, skin health, cognition, sleep, and stress. Just one vial per day provides a substantial boost to all of these growth factors. Okay, so that's what they want me to say. Here's what I know as an aging grappler. I've been using BioPro Plus and the nighttime variant, BioPro Plus Cortisleep, for several months, and it feels like I've grown a third lung. My gas tank is noticeably bigger, my recovery is faster, and I'm back on the mats much quicker, not just between training sessions, but between rounds. Now you can get $30 off your first order of BioPro when you use the code FOXCAST at www.bioproteintech.com. That's code FOXCAST for $30 off your first order at www.bioproteintech.com. Thank you, BioPro. Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of the BJJ Foxcast. Actually, welcome to episode 100 of the BJJ Foxcast.
Woo!
I am still your host, Alex Martinez. I'm here with Alex Tojo Kray. I'm here with Stephen Shackelford and the goon himself.
I'm still your
Introduce
co-host.
yourself, my friend.
I'm Colin Opper.
Colin Opper. Colin Opper.
Never heard of her.
Yeah, never heard of her. So I was told that I got to wear the crown, but I can't use it with my headphones on. So
I think it looks great.
Yeah, so I'm just leave it.
Natural.
Perfect.
Just leave it. So episode 100. I can't believe we're here.
Yeah.
I can. It's kind of like just getting your black belt. You just keep showing up.
It is a
showing
lot
up.
like that. Yeah.
Just keep showing up. We're picking up a new sponsor this year.
Yes. Salt.
Yeah, Salt.
I don't know if we can
electrolytes.
announce it officially, but we
Yeah.
just did. It's okay.
Yeah.
I'm excited for that one because
me too.
boy, do I have a difficult time staying fucking hydrated.
Yeah, man.
I'm like you'll talk to me like once a week. I'll be like, bro, so fucking
Sound
dehydrated.
horrible.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So picking up a sponsor, another sponsor, our second one. And then we also have another sponsor that's waiting for a proposal from us. That'll be a good thing too. If we can ever get there. Yeah. We just got to get more organized.
That would be a great one, honestly, if it happens.
Yeah, absolutely. We can't announce that one, but
Out 'em.
it'd be awesome. No, can't do it. Can't do it. But welcome to the show, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm here all the time.
Yeah, he's here all the time.
Colin, I was thinking about this. Colin shows up like once every 50 episodes.
Yeah.
He was here for 50, but I think you were here for 70 something.
Yeah, we do
At one point?
November. We did November.
We did November.
Yeah, last
so
time.
it's like every 50 episodes, and then every November he shows up. It's just
I'm
like,
25. I think I was in like 24.
Yeah, you were in an early episode, and then
Yeah.
you did 50, and we got hammered.
Yeah.
Did you get in trouble when you got home?
No, not when I got home.
Oh, okay.
It was because that Sunday was because we did it on a Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
And that Sunday was Mother's Day,
Yes.
and then first thing I said when I woke up was like, I gotta go get my car. Then do you want to go to brunch?
Yeah.
Happy Mother's Day.
What'd you do on Father's Day? Exactly.
My 20 kids gave me a call, so I was on the phone with them all day.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. Yeah, we used to do Christmas parties here. Yeah, usually about the middle of December, and it would be everybody from Nava's place and anybody else who wanted to show up. We'd have like 60, 70 people in ugly sweaters, plus, people that just dropped in and out, but 60 to 70 would stay, and we just party till like 3 a.m. And then the next morning, I'm curled up on the couch wanting to die, and then my doorbell's ringing. Hey, I left my car here. It's like, I don't care that you left your car here. Like, I'm not watching your car. Just take it. But yeah.
Talk to the valet.
Yeah, well, that's the problem. They gave their keys to somebody as a valet.
Yeah.
And they're
Yeah.
like, they're just going to steal your car.
We have to acknowledge the decorations.
Do we?
Amy and Taylor got the balloons, 100 episode, and flowers. Apparently, we got flowers.
Beautiful.
And the crown.
And the crown. Yes, and got the crown. So that was kind of cool. But yeah, that was really neat.
And we have tequila.
We have tequila, decent tequila. It's not great, but it's okay. It's not. It's good. It's good.
It's
I'll give it a B.
Casamigos? Yeah.
Yeah, I'll give it a B.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a nice añejo, and it's really smooth. Actually, we had some last episode.
Yeah.
So yeah. Hey, walk everybody through the process. Like, how difficult am I to work with when you're trying to do your job?
He doesn't answer text messages.
I don't answer text messages. No.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I think it's
Don't
not,
sugarcoat
well,
it.
it's not that bad,
fucking
but it's
liar.
because I've learned to just do shit on my own. And,
Okay.
and it's kind of like just do now, ask forgiveness later a lot of
Yeah.
the time. But what's I think made this work really well is we actually we're in alignment on almost everything, like pretty much everything. I don't think we've ever had a dispute about how we should do things or not.
Nah.
Like, you just kind of let me run the social and then you do the content. And I rarely ask to censor things unless Tojo just runs headlong into the barrier, which he does sometimes.
Yeah. Well, you got to hold your breath when Dan Enzing's on the show.
Yeah, that's true. I didn't have any conversations.
Dude, I remember when Joey came up to me once and he goes, "Oh, my kids love your podcast." I'm like, "I am so sorry."
Yeah. Have you heard the mouth on those kids?
I'm so sorry, man. I love those kids. They're awesome, man. Joey's a good guy too, man. Yeah, he did well at the last tournament, huh?
Yeah, he did okay.
He did okay.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got a little bit to work on, but he's a blue belt.
We have some confidence things I think we need to work on with Joey.
Really? I can't imagine him not having confidence.
Well, in any other context, he is super confident. Like as far as like if he goes to an open mat, he'll roll with the biggest guy there.
Yeah.
And hard as fuck.
Yeah.
And then tournaments, he kind of like not lack of confidence, but like not as willing to like assert his game, if that makes sense.
Yeah, hit that light on that side. Yeah, I see that a lot, man. I see people that are just like world beaters in the gym and they just clam up when it comes to tournament time. It's just a thing. Who cares? I mean,
most people are really conservative in their game. Their game in a tournament is usually really conservative.
Yeah,
because no one wants to make that one mistake.
Yeah, my last tournament, it was I was basically playing to not lose.
Yeah,
and I'm so disappointed about that. But whatever, live and learn. I'm gonna fight the same guy. We're gonna do a super fight in November.
Where
at? Tucson.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. There's a guy out there. I don't know if he's announcing it yet, but he's doing a new promotion for super fights. And we talk a lot, like during tournaments and stuff, and chat a little bit on Instagram DMs. And then he invited me to come out and be the main event. So
do you say where it's going to be at?
I don't know yet. It's November, so it's kind of far out. I don't know what the venue is going to be.
It's not going to be like in like a high school football field.
No, I don't think so. I don't think it'll
Under the lights.
I hope not.
Under the lights.
You hear about what happened to Aaron Wilson at that?
Oh, it's like the wet mat.
Yeah. Slip and slide
tournament. Yeah.
Yeah, they're trying to dry him off with
the
towels.
sprinklers come on. No.
They didn't. Okay,
it's just like
that would be funny though.
It was like a high school football field, right?
Yeah,
or a college football field. Like what?
Yeah, there was a guy. I was at the golf course the other day, and it's early morning, and we're just hitting golf balls on the range. And this guy's like, he sets up his little bag, and he's got this little thing, whatever. He's got a bunch of stuff, right? He's setting it all up, and the sprinklers started like almost right under him. Splash! It was fucking hilarious. He was so mad. He was like, "You're not gonna dry. Relax, relax. You're gonna dry off." It was like the world just exploded under him.
What time of day was this?
It was pretty early. It was like before 6 a.m. Yeah, before 6 a.m.
Do you go out and like play the course, or do you just hit balls like that early in the morning?
Most of the time, I go out and I chip and putt, and then I'll play the course maybe once a week, something like that. Or sometimes I'll just do like the back nine because that's super cheap. It's like less than $20.
This is really exciting.
Yeah. And then
I also play golf, so we're having a conversation here.
Yeah. So chip and putt, and then I'll hit the driving range every once in a while, and then.
Hey, Colin. So how was training this week?
It was all right.
Yeah. So that's kind of what I do. But anyway, that was really funny with the guy getting sprayed. Kind of made my morning.
It happens, man.
Yeah.
Anytime someone gets wrecked, it's good.
Yeah. Yeah.
So are you still not drinking? Are you still working on your weight for that tournament? What tournament is it?
Nationals from last week.
Okay. So you just decided
Actually,
to.
what was that 3 days ago?
Oh. So why are you.
No.
He came empty handed, and now he's mad that I don't have the right kind of booze.
Yeah.
And he just refused to drink because of that?
Refused to drink? I'm just not drinking. Is that
Whatever.
a problem? Should I get high?
Yes. Yes, you should. That'd be amazing, dude. Just Tojo in the corner. Like,
He said he brought heroin.
Yeah.
that's true.
So go ahead, shoot up.
That'd be.
Little train spotting.
Just go in the bathroom, have some etiquette.
Like an adult.
Like an adult.
Do drugs in the bathroom like an adult.
Oh my god. So we do you guys want to start with the questions, or where do you want to go with that?
Yeah.
We can
Wanna
go with the
start?
questions.
Let's go with
Sure.
the questions. So so Steven put an Instagram post up asking about if anybody had any questions, we'll answer them on the show. So that should be interesting.
It was nice because people responded.
Yeah, we
Which
see
is
that guy
great.
from Ireland.
Yes,
that's
dude.
cool.
Yeah, that's one of my
Yeah,
favorites.
what's his name? I want to give him a shout out.
Daryl 08, I think.
Daryl Lloyd?
Daryl 08 is his
Daryl
handle.
08?
Yeah.
Okay. Don't know your name, but Daryl, thanks for reaching out, man. Love you guys in Ireland.
Like
Melissa-
2008?
Yeah, Daryl 88.
Daryl 088.
Yes.
Yep. Follow him on Instagram.
He's a good guy.
Yeah.
All right. So we'll start with our first one, which is from JA Poll 1. who's Justin.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Oh, no. This is going to be horrible.
He asks, why is your dick so small? Tojo, would you like to take this one?
My God.
Bad genetics. Because it would just be too unfair if I was this good looking with a gigantic.
That
was
is
gonna be
true.
horrible
Yeah.
coming from Justin. I just knew it was going to be horrible.
All right. Next one's from Josh, who is Joshua J, who was just on the podcast a couple episodes ago.
Oh, yeah.
He says, is artificial general intelligence here, and how can we grapple robots?
Whoa. Grappling robots would be freaking cool, dude.
Yeah.
Well,
I think it's going to be
I want
impossible.
to grapple one of those dog robots. I'd love to fuck
The
one of those
DARPA
things.
dogs?
Yes, just fuck one of those up.
Oh, I'd love to fuck one of those things.
Oh my God.
Finish your fucking statement.
No, I'm not going
mean-
to fuck a robot dog. Oh my God.
What's the ethics on that?
On what? Having sex with a dog?
Robot.
A
Dog
robot
Oh,
dog.
I think there's no ethics with that.
You think?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's just a robot.
It's still a dog, though.
Well, that's weird.
Yeah.
But I don't know if
That
it's
guy's
unethical.
definitely still not telling his family. Like,
Oh, yeah. You're not sharing that with people.
Alex is definitely not going to tell Amy.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
You know the DARPA dog?
But it would depend. Like, it would be very uncomfortable grappling with a robot, because just grappling with somebody that has like bony elbows or like really, like Mike Kaplan and his shins.
Yeah, I mean,
It
but a
hurts.
little known fact that everyone's bones are actually bony.
Yeah, it is true. It is true. But some people have like just really, really strong bony bones that just dig into your body. It's just different. So I don't know.
If they pad them appropriately,
Yeah,
like
Yeah.
put fake muscle on them.
yeah. And the robot's gonna know what you're gonna do long before you do it, because they're gonna know everything.
Yeah, you see those robots. I know they have one that's a soccer goalie, and it blocks like 95% of penalty kicks,
Right.
which is unheard of. I just saw one where it was a ping pong, and it was beating Olympic level ping pong players.
Dude, have you seen those guys hit a ping pong ball?
It's insane.
Dude, they're standing like 20 feet from the table, just whacking that thing,
Yeah.
the ping pong ball. I'm just saying, I want to clarify, because you're on a roll.
But I mean, they have like there's that story that came about AI piloting planes, like fighter jets. They have AI fighter jets now, and
That
they
makes
beat,
sense.
They beat pilots, like human pilots, in dogfights 100% of the time.
Yeah, that just makes sense. They're machines flying machines, and humans, I don't know, hesitate.
That's
I mean, the limiting
literally
factor is the human, and
Yeah.
because I mean that's like the G forces and all that kind of stuff. Like,
Right.
If we could just get rid of the haircuts and the sunglasses, you know what I mean? The pilots would be way cooler. Yeah, so I'm all about robot pilots.
I'm all about pilots.
Ooh, hey, easy.
See, I'm built like a pilot, though. You guys are all jealous. I could be a fighter pilot.
Lean frame, small dick. Like,
Yeah,
that's
you're
all you
built
need.
like a toddler.
Perfect.
And speaking of Josh, when are you going to start training for your 24-hour
Dude,
walk?
he really wants to do it.
You
I
roped
brought it
yourself
up.
yeah.
All I did was bring it up. And then he's like, you want to do it? I'm like, sure. It's not easy. Like the
no
training
shit.
for it's super hard. Like I looked at it once and I'm like, I don't know if I have that kind of time.
And Josh is not a guy who's going to forget.
No, I know. Yeah, no,
So you're
I'll do
doing
it. I'll do it.
Ugh.
I won't do it untrained though. I gotta train for it. But it's like literally like it's all about building the mental toughness to finish a 24-hour walk. So you're doing like it's something ridiculous, like a 2-hour wall sit. You ever done 5 minutes on a wall sit?
They all feel like 5 minutes.
Yes.
2 hours.
30 seconds feels like 5
Yeah,
minutes.
and then like planks and just stuff like that. And I don't know. And then you just walk. It's self-supported, so you just walk. And then I don't know. I guess stop at a 7-Eleven and pick shit up if you need it.
Just keep walking.
Just keep walking 24 hours.
Any specific place, or are you just walking?
You just walk for 24
So you're gonna
hours.
do
So you
this.
just Forrest Gump this? Is that?
Basically, yes.
I just
Yep.
felt like running.
Yeah. Yeah. Are you you want to do it?
No.
Why not?
I don't have 24 hours.
That's a long time.
Definitely not how I'd want to spend a free 24 hours.
I'd love to hang out with Josh for 24 hours.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Maybe you could ride a bike next to us.
Oh yeah, like the Tour de France, just hand out water.
Yes,
and,
hand
and
up.
fix.
But I need you on a trike.
Yeah, electric trike. Too,
Yeah.
just a
Well,
scooter.
no.
a moped?
Moped, no, but as long
Like
as
the
it has
mini ones.
as long as it has like a big basket.
All All right.
At random intervals, it's going to be alcohol, though, and they don't know because it's going to be a clear liquid of any sort. So here's a water.
Spit it out.
I'm sorry, that was Everclear. that was mine.
Yeah, but that
You
would
hear
that would be rough.
stories. You hear stories about people doing those like 5Ks and it's like a drinking 5K. So instead of water stations, there's beer stations.
I've done that.
Ooh.
I've done a beer mile.
Yeah, that's it'd be challenging. I'd
Have you
just throw
seen-
up the whole way.
Have you seen there's a YouTube page of guys in the Midwest that have it's like a beer Olympics, but they've been doing it for generations. Like it's a legit competition, and these guys will do like the beer mile. You know, they run and drink chug
That's
a
just
beer.
how they drink in the Midwest.
Yeah, kind of like that.
Yeah.
But there's some where there's like I don't know what they call it, but they have this circle that they're in. It's two guys are blindfolded, and there's beers all over this circle, and you got to find them and chug them. And if you would think like you're kind of holding your hands down and feeling the ground. No, they lay on their side and they roll, and they're like, oh, there it is. Fucking grab it and start chugging it. And they do all kinds of crazy events, but they've been doing it for a long time.
One of my favorite events is the highest beer slam.
The highest beer
So
slam?
you lay on the ground, open your
and they
mouth,
pour it?
and they pour it
beer
from as
pour,
high as
yeah.
you can. Yeah, for like you'll get up on a ladder, and you have to pour.
Have you ever done it?
I've done it. Yeah,
You have
Yeah.
you have seen, was it Beer Fest? Is that what it's called?
yeah. The movie,
Yeah,
the Broken Lizards.
Broken Lizards, yeah.
How high was your beer pour?
From a porch, so I'd say about 8 feet.
They didn't get a
That's not
ruler?
bad.
You
That's
don't
not
have
bad.
an official count? Like,
Yeah, dude, you got to get official with
yeah,
it.
Well, that was
what a shitty game you were playing.
decades ago. So
Decades ago.
They didn't have rulers back then?
Yeah. I mean,
it was about yay.
But yeah.
It's a full stone high.
how many centimeters was it?
Oh, God.
Yeah, we're still in America. Maybe northern Wisconsin, but we're still in America.
That's true. Yeah.
Freedom miles.
With your German beer you're drinking?
What is that? What are you drinking?
this is Leinenkugel's. Made
Are those flavored?
It's a berry vice.
What is that? What does a vice mean?
It's beer.
I know what a berry is.
Yeah.
Vice is beer?
Yes, it's like a
What is like
lager.
Yeah, there's
Like,
like
it's similar-
Edelweiss though, right?
Yeah, that's
Edelweiss or Edelweiss, but it's
Weiss,
It
yeah.
sounds like anal vice, but that's not what we're
Yeah,
talking about.
but what does vice mean?
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
But this beer is made in Chippewa Falls, Wisconsin.
He was barely educated. Why are you asking him such complicated
Although
questions?
I
Took
think
a lot of shots in the head.
I probably lose my Wisconsin card for not being able to tell you the different types of beer, especially one that's made in like 2 minutes from my house that I grew up in. But
Yeah.
This Weiss means white in German.
okay,
Berry white.
Berry white. You're drinking berry white.
Yeah.
clever. Those Leinenkugel's are clever.
Do you have more of those? I'll have one.
They're down the fridge.
Down the
Down the
fridge.
fridge.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Amy!
Yeah, just text Amy. She'll bring you one.
I got
I don't have
berry
her- I don't have
vice
her
and a
number.
summer shandy.
Yeah.
She's gonna come storming up. You're like, what the fuck?
Nah, she's cool. Yeah. Okay.
Let's see.
question.
Next question.
Next question.
Did we even? What was the last question?
Robot.
Oh,
Grappling a robot.
Would you fuck a robot dog?
I would not.
Okay. Let's
I wouldn't
our
tell
boy
you.
from Ireland. So your proudest moment with BJJ, support all the way from Ireland, Irish flag emoji, great pod.
Awesome.
Actually, very affirming, by the way, that there's like actually a dude in Ireland who does listen,
Yes.
who took the time to actually write a question.
Yes. You're
great.
very cool.
I've gotten I don't know what kind of gun, but I've had a gun pointed at me at Dublin Airport.
It was probably
Is
a
this
musket.
is this also your proudest moment in BJJ?
No.
Please tell me.
No, I take that back. It was in England. It was
Your proudest moment or the gun pointed at
The
you?
gun pointing.
Okay.
Because I had a Blue Flame cigar lighter,
They do not fuck around.
and this was right after the Madrid bombings. I was
Yeah.
there for rugby, and I took a plane from Dublin to London Heathrow, then London Heathrow to Chicago, and I got through security, and I said, "Oh wait, I have this." And I'm like, no.
You got through security and you
Yeah, I had
outed
it in
yourself?
my pocket. I
Bro, you
I
were
did-
through security.
wasn't thinking.
If he made it to the plane, they would have just shot him.
Yeah.
Probably.
So
So they just pulled guns on you, and they were like,
yeah, I'm just like, no. I just wanted to tell you guys I had this. It's a lighter. But it was like,
Jesus.
I got it at the Jameson Distillery. So
Okay.
I got it from my dad when I was there, and he got a postcard instead.
And you were there for rugby? You were in Europe for rugby?
Yeah, I
Like
played
watching or playing?
playing. I played a season for I think it was a Division III men's rugby team.
And that took you all the way to Madrid?
No,
that was
Europe.
after the bombings. It took you to Europe.
It took me to
England, that
Cardiff,
Okay.
Cardiff, Wales. lived there. Lived on a couch.
What was the name of the team?
Penarth Rugby Club.
North.
So you actually went out and played for them, and like just played. Is that professional rugby? Like, how's that work? What is that?
It's not really professional rugby.
It was very. Yeah.
It's like being on a really good softball team.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was, if an American is playing, it's not very professional. It was just an opportunity from my club team in Milwaukee.
Which is where you got your nickname, the Goon, right? Was playing rugby in Milwaukee. Okay.
Yeah. If the referee missed a call, I made sure justice was served.
Yeah.
And then, I got to play a season over there and lived on a guy's couch. Again, my role, and this is kind of, because I always say I used to be a hooker in Cardiff, Wales. But my job is a hooker. And
What's a hooker?
Hooker, when you see in rugby when they scrum together,
Okay.
there's a hooker on each side, and we're trying to hook the ball with our foot to get it.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
To the back. So there's a lot of communication, and one way to piss off an opposing team is to speak in an American accent. in Wales.
Oh,
Because they did not want to get like
they don't want
to lose to a guy or a team with an American on
Yeah.
it. So, and my Welsh fake accent is not very good. But yeah, that was a fun experience.
wow.
Okay. So what was your proudest moment in jiu-jitsu?
Man, that's a tough one. Well, as a coach, I think promoting my someone to Blue Belt was one of my first, and just getting compliments about the promotion. I think that was one of my it's, you have your wins and losses and your medals and this and that, but when you become a coach and then you see someone and then other people are validating that promotion, I think that was like a recent one that that kind of jumps to my mind.
That's cool.
Why'd you get so sentimental?
Tojo, you're the one that complimented my blue belt.
I don't think I've ever complimented you.
I know.
So just being able to like get the validation that what you saw in that person was correct, and this person definitely should be a blue belt. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm proud of his moment too. That's my moment.
Fair.
I want to know your moments. What's your moment, Tojo? I'm gonna break you. You'll be crying by the end
I
of
don't
this
have a
podcast,
moment.
bitch.
I didn't even cry when I got my black belt. How dare you?
You didn't?
No.
Okay. Well,
It
what
just
is so you're not proud of anything that you've done in jiu-jitsu in the last how many years? When did you start? What year? It was around the same time, a little bit before you, right?
Yeah.
Before
This was
Alex,
a couple
yeah,
stripes.
2012, I want to say. Something like that.
Yeah.
Does that sound right?
I don't know. I wasn't there.
Weren't you thinking about me back then?
No, not at all.
You weren't even a gleam in your eye.
No.
Yeah, probably 2012. I don't know. I don't really there's like moments that are like, like the first time you win a tournament's cool. I'm not, getting promotions, like it was always like neat, but I was never like, oh, I can't wait to tell my mom or anything like that. I don't know. I'm not really that sentimental of a person. I think it's cool. I like the, coaching stuff is I don't know if I can't consider that stuff like my proud moments, because it's kind of more like I'm proud of something that, one of my students have accomplished.
That's literally what it means.
But I'm not proud of myself necessarily. I'm more proud of them.
That's still a proud moment.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. All right, we'll go with that then.
So your proud moment is all of the students that you've taught?
Anytime like a student does well, it's just like it's always neat that like you like see their growth. It's kind of cool like in your class when you like especially if you like pick up a class and then over like a year, 2 years, 3 years, you see like the growth of all those guys who've stuck with it, because so many people disappear, right?
Yeah.
And you see like, and the only way to get good at jiu-jitsu is to be consistent. And you'll see these people who have been consistent and with a lot of different things, like their diet, they change their lifestyle around jiu-jitsu. They show up every, 3-4 times a week or more. And they put in the work and then they get better. And it's just really cool to be part of that. That's, I guess, but it's not a proud moment. It's like proud of the whole process,
Yeah.
I don't know.
I say that too. Like promotions, they're great.
Yeah.
I guess I'm proud, like every belt that I've gotten, and like I said, any tournament that I've won or super fight that I've won, but it's hard to say, like, it's I guess it's just part of the process, it's hard to say which is my favorite or, proudest, but I think Yeah, like I'm thinking more as a coach now.
Yeah.
Right.
Seeing,
Yeah.
Like
I think a lot of people think of like a lot of the accomplishments in jiu-jitsu is like, especially when someone asks that, and I don't think, I don't know, I'm not like trying to speak for this guy's motives or anything like that, but like I think externally, a lot of people think, what's your proudest moment? And it's always like, oh, when I won this. But I feel like wins in anything, I think, are often really fleeting, right? Because they're almost like, it's just like you're really happy for that moment, but then it's like cool, and then you're like on to the next thing. It like doesn't, it kind of like loses that. In rock climbing, we always call it, like when you do something like a hard route is always called, it's called a send, like SEND, right? You're sending that route. After you put like, you know, months or years into a climb and you send it, it's really cool, but then you're like, but now I'm not working towards that goal anymore. So it's kind of like you have that like post-send depression. So it's almost like you accomplished your goal, which you're proud of, but then it also becomes kind of a bad thing because now you're like, well, now that whole cool process of like accomplishing that goal is over. So I don't know, like those kind of accomplishments are cool, but they, like I said, they're fleeting because they like, now that goal's over, you have to move on to the next goal. That's why I think it's more like proud of being that whole entire process of progression, either with your own jiu-jitsu or like we were talking about with your students.
Right.
You know, it's a little, I don't know. That's just my thought on it. Like I said, I'm not really super sentimental on like any like individual event or accomplishment. But yeah, like I said, that growth process is really cool.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, like for me, I think, I have a lot of proud moments. Obviously, you know, opening an academy, watching that grow, watching the growth of my students, and watching people that I used to coach still want to keep in touch with me, all that stuff. But that's all like, I don't know, very different. I think my proudest moment in jiu-jitsu is when I went all in. So before jiu-jitsu, it was like, you know, I had a group of friends and we took trips. We took fishing trips and excuse me, smoked a lot of cigars and drank a lot of bourbon, and they were awesome. Like I love them still. They're good, still good friends of mine. If they need something, I'll be there. But I realized if I wanted to do jiu-jitsu at the level I wanted to do it for my age, right? I want to do it at the highest level that I could for my age. I had to shed that other life. And when I shed that other life, jiu-jitsu just took off. I mean, it was like completely took over. And I don't know. In some ways, it was a bad thing because I lost some friends, you know, lost some people along the way. But it's my proudest moment is going all in on something that I just had a gut feeling that this is the direction I want to go. And I was right.
It's kind of weird though, like losing people because you went all in on your passion.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It is weird.
Because like, I feel like I don't want to like speak for any of those guys that like if anybody who's like, well, Alex doesn't want to, you know, drink all the time with me, so fuck him. Yeah. But like in a lot of ways, like anybody who's like upset or doesn't want to be your friend because you went all in on a passion isn't really your friend.
Yeah.
Right.
And they weren't like that. You know what I mean? I still talk to them every once in a while, but you know,
but there are people like that.
Absolutely. You know? Yeah. And there's like, you know, it's like they say, like, you'll never catch hate from somebody doing more than you.
Right.
That's really it, man. That's the God's honest truth. Anybody doing more than you is not going to hate on you because you're trying.
Right.
So
yeah, if they're real.
Yeah. How about you?
Mine was getting my blue belt.
Okay.
And you can tell that I'm young in my journey because that's my proud moment, right?
Yeah.
But
how adorable.
But I mean, obviously, that's probably my biggest notable accomplishment, I guess. But for me, I was coming from a place where someone, you know, like who was really, really close to me was just telling me all the time what a failure I was, that I never accomplished anything, that I didn't follow through on anything, that like really just was always beating me down. And so I needed like a win. I really felt like I just need to accomplish something. So I just set my sights on blue belt, and it was like May and promotions were in September. And I went Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 6 a.m. mixed levels, 1 p.m. fundies. And I just hit it, and I just stayed consistent with it. And I like that moment for me was it wasn't just like, okay, like I got my blue belt and yeah, that's hard. It was really a moment of like I accomplished something. Like I achieved something. And even in the post I made about it, I said, like, no one can take this away from me. Nobody can take this away from me. No one can say I didn't show up. No one can say that I don't fall through or whatever, because here is physical proof that I can do it.
There's only one person that can take that away from you. That is you.
Right.
And not me. I would never do it.
Yeah, he could be like, that was a mistake.
I changed my mind.
You know what's funny about that? I've had people that want to come over to our academy that, used to train at other places and they have their, they have like, oh, man, I got 4 stripes on my white belt. Do you want me to take them off? Absolutely not.
Right.
I'm a blue belt, but I haven't trained in 5 years. You want me to go back to white belt? Absolutely not. Like you've earned that, right? And who the hell am I to tell you to take off the stripes that another instructor gave you? I don't feel like that's my, I don't know. That's not my place.
Right.
You know, and how egotistical do you have to be to say, well, if you want to join my academy,
and there are
you got to go back.
There are schools that do that,
Yeah.
too, or where the coaches do that. I think it's probably more of an old school thing, but I don't think it's so much of a thing anymore. But I have heard of people who've gone to schools and have transferred to schools, and they're like, yeah, that purple belt's a blue belt now, or something like that.
Yeah. Well, the issue with that is if the person wants to compete, they got to wait. They can no longer compete until they get back to that.
At least
rank.
IBJJF.
Yeah. I mean, what else do you want to compete in, really?
Yeah.
If you're a gi guy. ADCC. Yeah, you want to get in a scrap with somebody. I won't
In the hallway.
Yeah, I don't want to get in a fight with anybody, dude. Yeah.
But I mean, I think
Stabbed.
I think that's a cool accomplishment because I think largely before you get your black belt, like that is the big jiu-jitsu accomplishment is getting your blue belt.
Blue belt is huge.
I think it's bigger than your purple or your brown for sure because it's the first real accomplishment. And I think that, and we've talked about this before, that's why we lose so many blue belts is because it's such a big hill.
Yeah.
And once you get and once you get over that hill, you're like, God damn it, I don't want to do that again for my next belt.
But then like you fall into this, I don't want to call it a trap, but you fall into this misconception that like, okay, you've got to be at a certain level before you're in your own mind, you're like good enough. Right. So you like for me, I was training 3 times a day, like 4 days a week, plus open mat on the weekend. I didn't have to do that to get my blue belt. I didn't have to do that. I just chose to because I didn't want to be the weak link. I didn't want to be the weak blue belt in the room. So you don't have to do that.
Yeah.
And you're setting yourself up for that burnout to when you get your blue belt, you'll walk away. Lucky for me, I didn't experience that, but it's a real thing. It's a very real thing. And when I got purple, I was like, oh, okay, yeah, of course I got purple. You know what I mean? Got to put in the time.
But
and I was competing
the skill gap between someone who's never trained and they get their blue belt versus someone who got their blue belt and their purple belt. Yeah. It's such a huge gap between just being an idiot off the street and then getting your blue belt. So in my opinion, it is the largest hill. It is such a big accomplishment. And I think we kind of we take it for granted, I think, a lot after we've done jiu-jitsu for 10 years or more, right? You're kind of like, oh, yeah. But, like, when you kind of forget, like, that first 2 years of, getting your ass kicked by absolutely everybody, right? Yeah. Pretty much.
Yeah, and now that there's, pretty much every school has a fundamentals class, and then they go into advanced after that.
Yeah.
A lot of people are getting their blue belts through the fundamentals class, right? Not a lot of rolling.
Yeah.
Just a lot of technique, a little fundamental technique. And I think that when somebody that did that and accomplished that blue belt level asked me, like, what do I need to do to get my purple? You got to roll a lot.
Yeah.
You got to roll. You got to explore that technique that you've learned. You got to chain it together. I'm not saying you have to win, but I'm saying you have to explore and you have to really, really dig deep because I don't think you realize where your game is going unless you're rolling exhausted. When you're rolling exhausted, you're gonna basically fall back to where you're the most comfortable. And then when you find that, you're like, okay, I can build off of this because this is my default. Where can I grow from here? And that's when you start studying and you start exploring more. And it just becomes this chain reaction. And then you get that and you're working a half guard and then you learn a couple sweeps and some subs from there and you feel good about it. Well, now you're going to implement a new thing and then another thing. And that's how the chain reaction happens. I don't know that you could be a purple belt unless you've rolled a ton. I don't know. What's your guys' opinion on that?
I mean, I would argue that I think you need to be doing that stuff as a white belt also.
Oh, sure. Yeah, but not everybody has that option, right? I mean, or the inclination to do so. Like, it's a very different time, man. It's a very different time. At white belt, our goal was to have the most disgusting white belt on the mat. Rolls and train so much that it's so gross that nobody wants to touch it. My white belt is gray. I was once asked, "Are you a gray belt in another martial art?" I'm like, I am not. As
my
a
belt was refused, or when I was at Pans, my first Pans, they were like, "You can't use that belt." They're like, he's like, "That's a gray belt," and I was like, "Haha, thanks." But he's like, "No, you need to get another belt." Yeah. I was like, "Okay," I brought another one because Paul told me, but I was like, "Ooh, yeah."
Yeah, staph infection waiting to happen.
Back when we used to think that there's magic and you're not washing your belt.
Yeah, you got to
wash your
fucking belt. Wash your fucking belt. But that was, like I said, it was a different time. Like we just wanted to roll a lot, and that was kind of like your, badge of honor, having a disgusting belt.
Yeah.
And it's starting off with like having a fundamentals program is so different. Because
Absolutely,
when
dude.
the three of us started, it was just, okay, today we're going over,
Oh, you didn't know who was teaching, right? You didn't know what they were teaching, but you knew you were going to roll at the end of the night. So you're like, okay, I'll tolerate this because I want to roll.
And that not to lessen like you getting your blue belt, but like when I got my blue belt, it's everyone else,
We got whipped.
Yeah.
Well, see, I will say that I think
Back in the day.
I feel like I traveled a little bit more of the traditional path because when I started in the Warrior program and I started in Fundies. And let's fucking go, Tojo. He's in there. But I think it was like within 3 weeks, I did my 3-week check-in with.
I'm sipping this
with
one, boys.
Alex. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I told him I was like I think I'm good because I was already like in shape, like I was skinny and I worked out like fairly regularly, so I didn't need the diet and the conditioning. I just wanted to get in there and go. So he like released me from the Warrior program early, and I went into the 6 a.m.s and got my ass beat and realized I should have stayed in Fundies longer.
There's so many people that are like that. There was one guy, I don't know if he's still training with us. I don't remember his name, but he did one Fundies class with Steve Benter, maybe you. And he's like, "Oh, this isn't challenging enough. I need to go into the other class." And I'm like, "Okay, yeah, knock yourself out." And he lasted 10 minutes, maybe. And it was, or remember the guy, the super, I hate to say this, but he was super arrogant. Maybe he's like super confident. I don't care. And he came to our academy, signed up, disappeared, and then he came back. And he's like, "Yeah, well, you didn't offer me a free class, so I want a free class." And I'm like, "Okay, well, I mean, you want a free class? Sure."
I know what you're talking about.
And then I was sitting at the tables. He was running class. Was it 11:30?
Yep.
It was an 11:30 class. This dude did 3 front rolls, and he was freaking dying. He was in his early 20s.
No.
But he was like super arrogant about how in shape he was and stuff. He did 3 front rolls. He's kind of
the first thing he asked me is like, "When do we start rolling?" I'm like,
Front rolls here.
Yeah,
Like you just rolled forward, so
"Let's
you're
do
on
some
the way.
forward rolls. Let's see how you do."
Yeah.
I had someone like that at wrestling class too.
This weekend?
Not this weekend. A couple weekends ago.
Okay.
And threw up during warm-ups. Threw up during takedown drills. And I don't know if we're gonna see him.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah,
That's
I was
okay.
But it
gonna
was
say,
like
I love
that same
too.
thing.
That's
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
'Cause-
It should be that way.
I don't want to say it's arrogance, but I wrestled in high school.
Did you now?
I'm like, okay, well,
I mean, I'll put respect on the name if you've wrestled at all, I think, because I feel like any wrestler I train with, even if they're just like a fresh white belt, you can, like, they just have like they have some technique, and it does make a difference.
It's a body
that in my
awareness.
experience. Yeah, it's a body awareness.
And you can tell the guys that were wrestling and getting matches and the ones that were not. You know what I mean? Because, I practiced a lot with my football team. I didn't play,
Right.
but I practiced. I was still on the team, but was I though? Was I? You know what I mean? So it's one of those deals. Like, if I'm sure you had guys riding the bench in rugby, they didn't have to wash their uniforms.
well,
at the
hey,
end of the day.
I was on a college soccer team for 6 years. I can count the number of games I played on 2 hands.
Yeah.
And I still have a school record.
Do you?
Awesome. Best goals against average for a goalkeeping tandem. Because I was a backup to an All-American who had 19 shutouts, and I played like 15 minutes.
Oh my gosh!
And he set a national record for
what
most.
possessed you to go to a school that had a standout freaking goalie when you're trying to be a goalie? You got to go to a shitty school where they get scored on a lot.
Well, I got invited to. I had a recruiting trip to University of Wisconsin-Madison.
Okay.
And I'm meeting with the head coach because the assistant coach was my coach for called Olympic Development Team, and I can't remember his name, Jim something. He came in late, and I'm looking around and I see his grease board in the back, the whiteboard in the back, and it said commitment Tom Pierre, and I knew who he was because he was a stud goalie from Minnesota. That's why I'm never getting into like beyond Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Because this guy is so good. I'm like, well, I'm not coming here. I don't want to back up Tom Peer for 4 years.
Yeah.
And the first person I saw when I went to Division II school was they roomed me with Tom Peer.
No.
And I said, I thought you were going to Madison. He's like, I couldn't get in.
Was it grades?
Yeah, it was great. Like Wisconsin doesn't lower.
No, most of them don't.
A lot of them do, actually.
Yeah, but they'll send you to like a JUCO and then bring you up after you get your grades up.
Wisconsin's one of the toughest.
Yeah.
In the Midwest, at least. It's Harvard. In the
So what
Midwest.
I've come to realize is you actually were athletic at one point.
He was an athlete. Yeah.
What happened?
Yeah.
He's still an athlete.
You've slimmed down a lot actually since last time I really saw you. So I don't know what you're doing, but it's working.
I get
He
more,
just called you fat.
well, you
Formally fat.
Yeah.
You lost a
Slimmed
fencing
down.
match today.
You did lose a fencing match
I
to a
know.
child.
Why the
To a
fuck were you
child.
fencing? What?
Hey, he's a diverse
Yeah.
kind of
Exactly.
guy.
Yeah, he's
got-
a true athlete.
like I said, when I get home,
The rematch is on.
yeah, I don't care what time it is.
Beat that kid's ass.
I don't care how much of this tequila.
Yeah.
I do want to point out I lost like close to 25 pounds, and especially these assholes, I get more fat jokes with more weight that I lose.
That's how you know. That's how you know you're
know,
losing it.
You know,
'cause
that's how you know, like, you have like a good community. Like Jiu-Jitsu is the best fat shaming community in the world. In the world. I mean, it's. We should not do that to each other.
No, we should. And here's the reason why. First of all, I used to be fat. I used to be 200 pounds when I was in high school.
what?
How did you carry 200 pounds?
Like
well.
a fat kid.
Where did you
Like
put
a
it
fat
all?
kid.
Yeah, what was it, like belly, or did you have like a fat ass?
I do look
Huge
like a fat
ass.
Asian. Like I was a fat kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, just a fat kid in high school, and then I just decided one day, and I just like basically. So I was working at Chili's at the time.
Oh,
That could explain it.
yeah.
No, that's how I
Baby
lost
back
weight.
ribs.
That's how I lost weight, because I was working at Chili's. I could make, and I was there like all day long,
Yeah.
so I could decide what I wanted to eat, and I would basically be like, I'm eating 2 chicken breasts for lunch, and I'm eating 2 chicken breasts for dinner, and like that's
there you go.
basically all I ate.
Yeah.
And then after a couple of months of that, weight just keeps
Yeah.
falling off when
Yeah.
you like eat like that.
And if you're hustling, were you a busboy, or were you a waiter?
Expediter.
Expediter.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
They're the person who like trays up food and like sends it
Oh, I
out
see.
and
Yeah,
kind of stuff.
Okay.
And I mean, it doesn't matter what you do in a restaurant. You're moving, unless you're a hostess.
Moving a lot. Yeah.
Except hostesses, they don't do shit. But
You don't think so?
I'm just kidding.
They stand there and look pretty.
No, but they catch a lot of shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, how long is the wait? Oh my God! There's an empty table right there.
I'll say one of the keys to me losing weight was to stop eating like the leftover chicken nuggets on my kids' plate.
Yeah,
Like
that'll do it.
It's so tough. Like
But they're so good. Those little dinosaur
You
ones.
don't want to waste that.
yeah, the
food.
dino nuggets.
The dino nuggets are
or
the
mac and
fucking
cheese.
shit.
There's a big
Oh,
yeah.
When my kids were little, most of my meals were literally over the sink.
Oh,
Yeah.
Fucking chow down. Right?
I literally I have nights where I eat standing up, and I'm like, this is it.
Yeah.
back to the fat shaming. You can't make excuses to a jiu-jitsu guy
That's true.
because
No,
we've
that's
all cut weight.
And that's another thing
I
that
have
you
not.
can. That's another thing that we can say as coaches, that talking about proud moments, is watching a Joey or watching a Gino or
Yeah.
watching somebody that.
Become completely different people.
Yeah. Alex Simpson, our guys, and you just look at them and like, they're damn sexy now, man.
Yes.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
And they didn't start that way. Well, Joey had to get a new belt.
You got to get a new lot of stuff. Like all of his wardrobe. He was like between 270 and 280 when he started with
Yeah.
us, and now he's thinking about trying to get down to 181s.
Yeah,
Because
that's
he's,
awesome.
He's in middle heavy. Is that 195?
Yeah.
Bro.
Well, I mean, Jason Ellis is a great example. Jason, I mean, he lost a bunch of weight, started working with a diet coach, started working with a strength coach, changed his whole life, dude. We want to talk about proud moments. Those are the proud moments.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And it's nothing that we're doing. Like, we're just kind of guiding people into an ass whooping. And
But
they
that's,
decide
that's
they want
fucking
help.
huge, though. That's so big, man. I mean, I think that guidance, like as a person who had only had one proper ass whipping in middle school, like when I came in, like you being able to direct people to that, like to guide them into that process and then encourage them. Like, and give them that opportunity. That's massive.
Yeah.
It's massive because a lot of people, they just don't have that opportunity.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
not in
and
their
we say
lives.
fat shaming, but it's not really.
No.
It's like
No.
it's like, hey, my goal is to lose 50 pounds, and then you're like, all right, we all go out or something, and he's like trying to get a cheeseburger and have 6 beers, and we're like, bro, Your goal's 50 pounds, right?
Yeah.
It's accountability.
It's keeping them accountable, and like that's the reality of it is like and we all kind of like like to give each other shit, so it kind of comes off that way, but it's more accountability.
Yep.
Right?
Say,
that's
Alex,
really important.
You're one of the reasons why I lost a lot of weight too, because one of my last fight to win. The first text I got was from you, and I'm like, oh, I wonder what coach has to say. You suck at ultra.
Dude, I still have that picture. Do you want that picture?
No, it's
a good one. That's a good one.
He had a belly on his face. Ugh.
It was
Yeah.
But I mean,
and the lip sweater didn't help.
It was a hairy belly.
Yeah.
in my opinion, though, like it's almost impossible to like do that stuff without like some sort of external motivation. Also, like
Agreed.
It's hard.
having your people
Hard.
around you, because if you're surrounded by people who are like, let's just have cake and pizza every day.
Yeah.
It's almost impossible.
Yeah. Yeah. And for us, it was always like, the school is practically shut down because everybody's competing, and you don't want to be the one that's not.
Right.
That's back in the day. You know what I mean? So I was like, screw it.
Yeah.
That's what I want to do. And that's kind of what made me go all in. I lost 2 tournaments in a row, and I just went to Paul. I was like, I'm not losing another fucking tournament.
Yeah.
And that's when I went all in.
So I think that one of the things that people struggle with, and this is weird for me to talk about because I've never been fat. I've always just been skinny. I've been skinny fat, where it's
Get
just
the
like
fuck out of
here.
here. Get out.
But I think that one of the biggest things is that people just have a delusion about what they're actually doing. So a lot of people,
100%.
yeah, a lot of people will go to they go to their coach or their doctor or whatever, and they're like, well, I work out like really consistently. I work out, I work out like 3 days a week, and I eat like really healthy. But if you actually if they tracked and wrote down what they were doing, you'd be like, oh, you worked out 3 days the first week of the month, and then the rest of the month you worked out like 1 day, and then you were on your diet for 2 weeks, and then a lot of days you're actually eating pizza and cake. Like
if I could give advice to anybody, it's like just track what you're eating.
Yes. Yeah.
Because you will
what
be
you're doing.
so surprised. Like a lot of people go to like Applebee's or whatever the hell and get a salad because they're like, oh, I'm eating healthy. That salad is 1,200 calories.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and serving size.
Right. That's what it is, because they're
like
huge servings, right?
A serving of jelly beans isn't as much as you can grab in one hand.
Twice.
It is for me.
I mean, that's what I have for one serving.
8 jelly beans.
And like, a serving of ice cream isn't what you can cram in a coffee cup.
A coffee cup. What the fuck?
There's a lot.
What's the matter with
It's
you?
a lot of experience here.
I used to eat cereal out of a cup, like a big cup, because that way you can. It's a lot easier to like take and be mobile with it.
Yeah, that's why.
That's why I was fat.
Yeah,
Yeah. And no matter what you think, you haven't earned any meals. Like you can't have a cheeseburger because you're going to go to the gym later. No. Doesn't work that way.
It's a lifestyle. And I think that when I see people struggle with weight, I just look at their lifestyle and I'm like, you're not, like, you have to live it every day, I think, as much as possible. Like, I don't know. And again, I feel weird saying that because that's truly a struggle I've never had. So I'm only an outsider looking in and seeing what people are doing. And I'm like, you have to live the lifestyle. The people who I see who are in shape consistently all the time, it's a lifestyle that they live. It's not like one decision that they make or whatever.
Yeah, but I know a lot of times when people are failing at weight, one, it's they don't know how much they're putting in their mouth actually during the day.
Yeah.
And two, the people that allow themselves their cheat day, quote unquote, they have no idea how much going off the rails as much as they do actually like completely like, because let's say you're putting yourself in a deficit for 6 days a week, right? And you're doing like maybe 300 calories in a deficit, right? Which adds up, right? If you're consistent. But then if you're like 1,000 surplus on Saturday, well, there goes your whole week of being in a deficit.
Yeah.
So it's like you're really shooting yourself in the foot when you do this. It's like if you want to lose weight, you have to go all in.
Yeah.
And get to where you want to be, and then you can kind of like fluctuate, like have those days, but then you have to like be good. It's like it's the reality of it. Some people like Shackelford here can fucking just eat whatever the hell he wants.
And you got to remember also, and this is going to sound horrible. I know this is going to sound horrible, but I don't know. I'm not
ready to clip this.
Yeah.
No context.
You got to remember that when you go to a restaurant, the menu is there to feed fat people.
Yeah.
The servings are going to be 2 to 3 times larger than you would actually need.
Yeah.
And
Because people that are not full complain.
Yeah. That's like that $1,200 or 1,200 calorie salad.
Yeah.
It's like, well, yeah, because if you eat a normal salad, it's 500 calories or so.
Yeah.
Like, okay, what's next? What's for dinner?
Yeah,
what's for dessert?
exactly.
You
Yeah,
know?
yeah. So, I mean, I know that sounds horrible, but you got to remember that. Like when you go to a Chili's and you have their food, it is going to be.
Well, there's a big difference
90%
between
of what you
being
need for the day.
satiated and being full.
Yeah.
People want to be full. They don't want to be satiated.
Yeah. So like I was saying, when I was in Mexico, I was full, but I was eating like, an 8-ounce, grouper,
Yeah.
And a side.
Yeah.
And
There's
I was,
definitely
like,
ways to get
stuffed,
around it, right?
And
Yeah.
it was like around 300 calories.
Mm-hmm.
So it was really difficult to stay on task.
All right. That was about a half hour of fat shaming.
Yeah. No more fat shaming. Anyway,
You
Colin,
can cut weight.
hang on. You guys keep going.
The moral of the story, though, is like anybody can cut weight. It's just like some people have to be more consistent than others, and
it's not fair.
It's not fair.
It's not fucking fair.
Like that was kind of my point with you. Is like it's not fair for like because I have to be like focused to cut weight. You don't even have to cut weight. You can eat whatever the fuck you want, right?
Right.
Yeah, it sucks, man. I wish I could be like you and eat whatever they want. But if I want to cut weight, it's the reality of it is I have to be strict on what I eat. And if that's your goal is to cut 50 pounds, 100 pounds. The reality is you got to cut. It's not going to be easy and it's not going to be fun. You just got to get over that if that's truly your goal. And if it's not your goal and you just want to be out of shape and heavy and whatever, cool, whatever. Live your life. But like if that's truly your goal, sorry, it's going to suck for some people and it's going to be. And you're going to watch people who do it easily because that's just genetically they won the lottery there.
Yeah.
Sorry.
But the thing too is like again, going back to it being a lifestyle, once you get used to making those decisions, it does become easier. Like I make decisions about what I eat, even though I'm slim and in shape or whatever. Like I'll have nights where I'm like, I don't want to eat this pork chop or I don't want to eat this chicken breast. I don't want chicken breast and rice, but I'm like, I know this is just better for me. I know I'm going to feel better if I have this than if I just eat like shit or don't eat enough or whatever. So, and it gets easier when you realize that when you make those decisions, like that there's positive consequences.
I'll have you know.
Thanks, babe.
Yes, thank you. You're amazing.
The vending machine cake I had the night of Nationals, Ramsey and I went on our way back home from dinner. There's vending machines in the Westgate that serve cake. Yeah. And we were like, you want to get vending machine cake?
Fuck yeah, I do.
Hell yeah, we do.
But you were saying that it's not going to be fun doing it. You know what is fun? When you see somebody who hasn't seen you in 6 months.
And they're like, whoa.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's a lot of fun,
That's
man.
really cool.
That's a lot of fun.
Having the confidence to post like a picture on Instagram of yourself where you're
Yeah.
just like flexing or whatever, like that's fun. That's
Yeah.
what you got to drive towards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like it's hard to put like a price on like the way you feel because like I remember being fat and even like so before I even started my weight cut for Nationals, I was like 170, which like even on my frame 170 is not like I'm not like fat, but I'm also not in shape. Right.
Yeah.
And then the difference between the way I can move and the way like, I feel when I'm right now, I'm like 155 or so after Nationals. Right.
Yeah.
So it's like, but I was like 148, like that, a couple days, coming up to Nationals. And it was like, that's, 22 pounds. Like I felt so much different and in a good way. Right.
Yeah.
It's just like, you can't put a price on that. Like that is so much better than how your mouth feels. Like when you eat cake.
Yeah.
And that was kind of like the point is like, dude, we ate that cake and man, that fucking cake was good. But God, I slept like shit. I woke up and I was like, God, I feel like dog shit because I just ate 1,000 calories of sugar. Like, it's just like
no regrets.
No regrets. I'll do it every day, every fucking night. No, but like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like those like short-term mouth pleasure for like long term. But in the long term, you just feel like shit.
Yeah.
It's not actually that. You don't feel that great.
No, absolutely
Not
not.
worth it. I'd rather have a fucking steak.
Me too.
Yeah.
Oh.
Me too. If I'm going to eat 1,000 calories, make it a giant freaking. Oh.
And I don't feel like shit the next day.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, man.
But anyways, next question.
Next question.
That was a good one. All right.
Those Irish always have good questions.
Those Irish, dude, they're good people, man.
AJ
Agazam.
Madik.
Yeah. They're AJ. Yeah.
Yeah. He asks, who would win in a street fight, Bobby Roode or Colin Opper?
Well, Colin Opper, duh.
Yeah.
Who's Bobby Roode?
Next question.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Bobby
Who's
Roode.
Bobby Roode?
My
Rick
walkout
Rude's brother?
song. No. He's a professional wrestler. My walkout. I use his walkout music for my walkout music for Fight to Win. Since his neck needed 2 or 3 surgeries, I'm just gonna go out and say I could be Bobby Roode.
Not Bobby Roode. Whip your ass.
Do you know who my son is? Where do you think Finn learned to fight on the
I'm
street?
not saying Finn would lose. I'm saying you.
He's a
would.
world-class fencer.
He is a world-class fencer.
Is that what they call it? Fencers?
Is it Finn that beat your ass in fencing?
Yes.
I kind of love the nostalgia of the wrestling. You know what I mean? Like watching the Iron Claw. I'm like, man, that was when I was a kid. Like we used to love that shit. You know what I mean? Like the shitty wrestling.
Yeah.
You know when there was like 10 people in the crowd
The
and
Iron
they were
Claw's
all
listening,
related.
and he's like, "How dare you?"
What's that?
He's listening to the podcast, and he's like, "How dare you?" What do you mean, shitty wrestling?
Yeah, it was just shitty wrestling.
Well,
but
that was like the and there's a faction right now called the Wyatt Six,
okay.
and they're
Yawn. Next question.
supernatural. They
Yeah.
all wear masks, and a lot of the old school wrestlers didn't like them because they were posing with fans without their mask. And,
Oh, yeah.
out
of character.
at a Whataburger.
Yeah.
You can't do that. And you guys remember Hacksaw Jim Duggan?
Absolutely.
Absolutely not.
He got more people hit with 2x4s.
He got in trouble because he carpooled with the Iron Sheik. Not because they got caught with drugs. It's because they were riding together and they were actually feuding. The storyline was they were supposed to be enemies.
Yeah.
The soap opera
Yeah.
That's what it is. That's what it is.
Soap
I get
opera for
so
dudes.
confused
for rednecks. Yeah.
I get so confused when people talk about wrestling because I always think of like actual traditional wrestling, and then you start talking about mass and the feud and the Iron
Oh, you mean
Claw.
wrestling?
Wrestling.
I want you to do something for me. Okay.
Don't
I
do it.
want you to go to a wrestling event and
I've been
come
to
back.
one. Wait, which wrestling? Like again, which wrestling are we talking
No,
about?
like WWE.
Okay.
And I want you to go to one and come back and tell me that it sucked. I bet you don't.
Yeah, no, I watch them and I'm like,
I
this
will.
The
looks
show
fun.
is amazing.
I will tell you
No,
this.
they do a great job. The show is so good. I mean, you can tell like the storyline, you're like, yeah, whatever. But they just put on a hell of a show.
Well, and they
dude.
beat the shit out of their bodies.
They do.
Like, they are
Yeah.
crazy.
They do. Yeah, man. I mean, yeah. Anyway, but when I was watching the Iron Claw, dude, that was like my youth. You know, that was so cool.
Next question. All right. We all know Colin obviously would.
Yeah.
Oh,
The
let's
goon.
see.
You'd goon him.
You'd get your ass kicked. Bad neck.
I have
and all.
faith. Hey, Colin, I have faith in you.
Thank you.
I don't.
All right, Slow Roller asks, is gi dying out?
That's
Fuck
hilarious.
no.
Fuck no.
No.
Fuck.
I'll tell you
no.
one thing. Every
That's-
student in our academy starts in the gi.
Yeah.
All of them.
That's
so,
That's how ADCC guys cope.
yeah. Speaking of coping, have you been seeing the stuff that has been coming out with Gordon Ryan being like, this will be the biggest ADCC ever? And like, he's starting to do more press interviews talking about how amazing
Hilarious.
it's
He's
going to be.
wrong.
He's
but
wrong.
And everyone's being like, cope. Like, yeah.
CGI is really stepping on their dick with this.
Yeah.
Well, have they fixed ticket sales yet?
CJI. Did I say that?
You said it right, yeah.
Yeah.
Not CGI.
I kept saying CGI last
Yeah,
time.
yeah. But have they fixed ticket sales yet? Because I heard the website wasn't up, and then I heard it wasn't up, and I just keep hearing that the website
Oh,
doesn't
interesting.
work.
They're not very interesting.
Strange that they're not organized.
Yeah,
It's almost
organized.
well, your point that you made last
Whatever.
time was regarding that was interesting because
Was wrong, yeah.
Well, I think but I think it's true in that because I have experience with this in my
I'm willing to bet they don't even have fucking mats yet.
yeah.
CJI.
Yeah.
I doubt.
I'm willing to bet that they don't have mats yet.
I bet it's gonna be way cooler.
I bet their mats don't even have their logo on them.
I bet they don't even have drummers.
But I think that this is a common thing, and we mentioned Under the Lights, not to throw shade on that organizer or whatever, but people get involved in organizing tournaments in particular, and they don't realize that there's a lot of logistical challenges that come up. And I think you're right that like we could see that. I mean, just like the website, like I'm in class, and D's like, the fucking website's not up. I can't even buy tickets. Like those
would
are
you
the
want to?
pitfalls,
Yeah,
bro.
but D complains about everything.
Untrue.
Oh my god. Oh god.
He just complains about hunting.
Yeah.
He really hates
Doesn't
hunting.
like the hunting.
Yeah.
No, but the thing is, like you said, logistically, it's got to be a nightmare. And when you're bringing in the top grapplers in the world, you better have your shit together.
Yeah.
There was a coach. Who was a coach for? It was the Ravens, but it was in like the early 2000s when they won the first Super Bowl. What was the guy's name?
I thought you didn't watch
I didn't follow
football, dude.
basketball.
Yeah. I don't even know what state they're from.
Baltimore. Baltimore.
Oh.
Well, that'd be
It's a
Maryland.
city. That's
Maryland?
a city.
What city is that in?
That's a city.
Maryland. No, but he said when you walk into a room of millionaires, you better have your shit together.
Yeah.
And not that these kids are millionaires, but these are the best grapplers in the world right now.
Who have influence, who left ADCC to do this.
Yeah, you better have your fucking
show
shit
the
together.
fuck up.
Yeah, you better have your fucking shit together. So,
and I agree with you that like when Craig Jones comes off, he's in fucking Donbass, like lighting cars on fire. Like that is really cool and very fun. Like I'm glad you went and spray painted ADCC on the side of an old BMW.
Yeah, but who's watching the store?
I think he's got way more figured out than he's letting on. I think it's like obviously he's got to keep up his his persona, his pro wrestling persona. But I think he's got way more of it figured out than we all think he has.
What evidence do you have of that?
I don't have any evidence of that. But I just like the way that like everyone's switching over. I've heard him talk on a lot of his podcasts, and like when he switches off a little bit and talk, obviously he doesn't like to talk shop because he likes to play the persona more.
Sure.
But when I've seen him like talk about like what he's like looking to do with this, like when he kind of like is kind of like, you know, pulling back the veil a little bit, I would be very surprised if this is actually not going to be a good professional event.
I hope it is.
I think you're wrong.
I guess we'll find out.
Yep.
How do you guys hope this plays out? Like for the jiu-jitsu, like the larger jiu-jitsu community thing, like when the dust settles and CJI has happened and ADCC has happened, what do you guys hope happens?
For the sake of jiu-jitsu in general, I hope it's a great event. I hope it's like the best thing that's ever happened. I hope it blows ADCC out of the water. I hope that they can be two competitors for the rest of, for the future, for the sake of jiu-jitsu. Yeah, I mean,
of no-gi jiu-jitsu. Let's be real.
Nah, it's jiu-jitsu in general.
I think the two. Yeah, I really think the two, like the gi versus no gi thing is just, I don't know. It's all jiu-jitsu. It's like our guy at my white belt posted, just like, stop fucking being weird. Just train jiu-jitsu. It doesn't matter. Gi, no gi, it doesn't matter. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I'm just like I'm just teasing about like the gi versus no-gi thing. Yeah. But any of the no-gi guys who think that like no-gis or the gi jiu-jitsu is going away isn't paying attention.
Yeah,
well, those guys. Yeah, they're definitely delusional.
Yeah.
Let's just say no-gi doesn't pay the bills.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I mean, neither of them do. Honestly, that's kind of the problem right now.
That's true. Yeah. But I mean, the biggest event in the world is a no-gi. Is a gi event. That's the biggest event in the world.
But is it accurate to say that the most money is in no-gi?
No.
For like two people.
But in gi, do people win more prize money overall in gi? Like doing IBJJF and all those other things?
The people that know how to monetize gold medals do make money.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Which was a great point.
Which is the ultimate point.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
But they don't want to do that. They just want to do jiu-jitsu
all
the time.
If you want to do jiu-jitsu and smoke weed and live in mom's basement, awesome. If you want to make real money, there's a different model for that.
Yeah.
But
you got to work your fucking ass off.
But the reality is though, even football players and baseball players and basketball players, those guys just want to play their sport too. But they have managers, and I think that's where the sport really and we already know like Samir's doing that. There's a handful of other people that are doing that. That is actually where the future is.
Absolutely,
They need management because they just want to be the athlete.
Yeah,
right. And that's all they're really good at.
Yeah,
right. And some are really good at doing all of it, but most aren't. They're athletes.
Yeah,
right. And that's why there's management in baseball, basketball, football, whatever sport.
100%.
Right?
Yeah,
right. And all of these people are going to slowly. Hopefully quickly figure out that like getting a manager is actually very beneficial to their future, their financial future.
Yeah. No, right? I love that point because, these kids, big companies want to exploit.
100%. Yeah.
And when you have somebody watching your back that knows that can see it coming, that's invaluable.
And especially because these kids, a lot of them don't make a ton of money. They're just really talented.
Yeah.
So they're like, oh, we'll pay you $500 if you come do this event.
Yeah.
And now this event's making like millions or whatever. Like if you're talking about ADCC, they're not making anything. It's like, well, you have a manager to be like, no, you should be getting paid this much or don't go.
Yeah.
And you get enough of them to do that.
Yeah.
Now you have a change.
And speaking of like professional, sports teams, I think someone said that the best trick that the owners group for the NFL pulled off was making millionaires seem greedy.
Yeah.
So what they did was they created the salary cap. So if you say I'm worth $100 million, well, our salary cap's 125 or whatever the hell it is.
Right.
We only have $25 million to play with, right? Whatever it is, and obviously it's over the course of a few years. But you're still hitting the cap pretty hard. And now they're saying these billionaires are going, well, that guy's just greedy, man. He wants $4 million a year. He wants $5 million a year. No, Dick, you have billions of dollars, but you limit them by the salary cap that everybody agreed to except the players.
Right.
Right?
The people it actually affects. Yeah.
And they're the greedy ones? I don't think so. Anyway, it's a
debate. You don't follow football, right? You don't watch it, you're not into it at all.
I don't watch football games, no.
Okay.
But I enjoy people's stories. I enjoy
the
like
sport.
the business side of it. It's pretty amazing what these owners get away with.
I think you would like the Tampa Bay Lightning and hockey. For 2 or 3 years in a row, they've been over the salary cap. But somehow, one of their highest paid players has been on the long-term injury reserve. So it doesn't count towards the regular season salary cap.
And does he come back for the playoffs?
A month before the season ends, this guy's on the ice and he's skating. I can't believe it. And then
it's a miracle.
And there's no salary cap for the playoffs. So their best player.
Oh my gosh.
So for 2 out of the last 3 seasons, the Tampa Bay Lightning, and they won 2 or 3 years ago.
So they just have to make the playoffs.
They just have to make the playoffs, and then one of their best players comes back.
How many hockey teams are there?
32.
How many teams make the playoffs?
Wait. 16?
That's a lot.
Yeah, it's half.
Yeah, that's almost half. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. That's brilliant.
We can get real political with this whole point.
Yeah.
But coming from a no-gi guy, to answer the question, gi's going nowhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gi is dominant. And it will be. It always will be.
And it does definitely seem that way. Like, I don't know, I think you see more of no-gi on social media, and there's a lot more like promotions that pop up that are no-gi because it's so tangential to the UFC.
Yeah.
Like UFC is obviously like the jiu-jitsu you see there has got to be no-gi. And so everyone's just like, it's just like the UFC. Like,
yeah.
You see that connection a lot.
I will say this. Taking money away from production and giving it to the athletes is always a great idea, as long as the production doesn't completely suck.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where I'm coming from with my comments. I think the production is going to be poor.
You think so?
Yeah, and if production is poor, the ancillary people will not watch.
Yeah.
Jiu-jitsu people will always watch.
Yes.
Right? But maybe their wives won't, or maybe their kids won't, or maybe, their aunts and uncles won't, right?
Yeah.
And if you don't get those eyeballs on the screen, what's the point?
Yeah. True. And I made this point before that I think that jiu-jitsu is a really hard sport to watch. It's really difficult to watch. It's difficult to find. It's difficult to actually view. Flow grappling sucks ass. It sucks.
It's awesome compared to what it was 7-8 years ago.
Sure, yeah, sure.
I used to call it flow buffering.
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe it. It's just like it's so expensive.
It's difficult.
It's so bad.
Yeah.
Right. And even like with UFC Fight Pass, which they obviously have a good system for it. They still it's hard to find the latest jiu-jitsu thing.
100%.
It's really hard.
Yeah.
So
they don't give it to you. Even if you have Fight Pass, they don't just give it to you. Like
you gotta dig.
Yeah.
It's very weird that it's like this huge problem that the sport martial art has, that it is just not visible except on social media.
Yeah.
But tournaments do need more drummers.
Yeah.
I agree.
And fireworks. Yeah.
I agree.
And
because we all know
pride announcers.
I might do a drummer in our academy. Just have a guy sitting in the corner banging away on a drum.
Every time, right before class starts, just every time.
I could think of a couple people that would be good for that. That's all they're good for.
It is interesting because the fundamental debate seems to just be pay the athletes more. That's what Craig Jones says is his goal. That's what he's focused on. But I feel bad for Mo because there are just there's so and maybe I shouldn't, but but there's just so much more to it than that.
Mo's
piece.
crying, wiping his tears with $100 bills.
I don't think so, man. I don't know. I mean, I don't know him at all.
You don't think so? Really?
You think he's gotten rich from this whole thing? Maybe he has.
Maybe not necessarily from just doing the ADCC. He is living fucking fine.
Yeah.
Well, good for him.
Well, good for him. Yeah, but that doesn't change. It doesn't change the fact that he probably has.
You're fucking hating right now.
You're hating
right now.
Yeah.
It doesn't change the fact that he has, I'm sure, a lot of stakeholders who all have a decision. It's like
when you make a statement like, "Oh, pay the athletes," yeah, that's nothing to me. That's nothing to me. Well, then why the fuck weren't you doing that?
But that's obviously something
That's a good
said
point.
in the moment and under pressure.
Well,
of course he probably even feels that way. It's to me it is nothing, but to whoever it is, whoever is funding the Abu Dhabi Combat Club, that it is something to them. There are stakeholders that there's a whole decision process, and what Craig Jones thinks they have or I think he has, is that to his benefit, is he doesn't have a lot of bureaucracy. He's got one sugar daddy that's paying the bills, and he's just out there like, you know, just being acting like a joker, and they're just kind of giving him whatever. And that's really good for him, because what I think Mo is struggling with is the bureaucracy, because there's got to be a lot of it at this point. When you have a multi-million-dollar like business that you're running, there's going to be a lot of bureaucracy, and Craig Jones right now doesn't have that. So I think that's his benefit. But
and just like you know, professional sports, like you can't make big changes like in baseball. Right. Without people losing their shit.
Right.
There's too much red tape, too much bureaucracy.
I don't think they have anywhere close to that bureaucracy, though, as like any of the like MLB, NFL.
No, I'm saying, but there's always some. Right?
I promise you, after that stream where Mo was like, "Fine, pay the athletes more. It doesn't mean anything to me. I'll do it." I'm sure there was a serious conversation had with somebody after that, where they were like, "What the fuck is your problem? Why would you do that?" And you know, but they made it happen because he made the promise, and there's a PR war going.
That was a big chink in his armor, because I think that, or showed a big chink in his armor, because he is very. I think he handles himself PR wise very well most of the time.
Yeah.
Because he's really good about keeping it level. And he totally lost his cool with that.
Well, he's got to be under a lot of pressure right now. Sure. He's losing all the biggest athletes in the world.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. And he's spent how much time building this thing up to what it is
2
today?
Years.
Yeah.
2 years. Well,
not 2 years, but
more than that. But
the old promotion, right? I don't know how long he's been working for ADCC, but like, I mean, and that's why, like, when you see what happened with Seth, right, where he he's sent that.
There's no way.
Did they get rid of him?
Yeah, they have no choice. They got to get rid of him.
Yeah, but like when you see something like that, like when I don't agree with what he said. I think what he said is fucking crazy. It's I don't know why you would put that in writing. That's insane. But I do think that like when you're in a niche industry, and I can speak from experience because I've worked in a niche industry for a long time, being in esports. When someone comes in and they don't understand the red tape, they don't understand the bureaucracy, they don't understand the process, they don't understand what you have been through to get to where you're at, and they're just like, I see this problem, and fuck you for having this problem, and I've got a bunch of money all of a sudden, and I'm going to solve this problem. It's scary. It's scary for a guy like Seth, who has put all that effort in, and he sees it crumbling. When he's saying, like, you're threatening my family, you're threatening my livelihood, he's not lying. Yeah. It does not make it right to go to threaten to kill a guy on social media. That's fucking insane. But
that's dumb.
It's scary. It's got to be scary for him and for Mo.
Yeah.
I think a parallel is UFC, because one of my first instructors, Red Schaefer, when he was fighting, he was getting $3,000 to show, $3,000 to win.
Wow.
They'd pay for, I think, 2 corner, and you usually have 3 corner. So when you have your camp, and I think it's like a week or two, like maybe 2 weeks out, UFC will pay for 2 corner, and you're, you know, wherever you're at, whatever, you know, Las Vegas, California, wherever you are. And I think, you know, when Bellator first started and the PFL, it's the competitors that actually drive. If you're worried about what the athletes are making, it's the competition that like drives what they get paid up.
Yeah.
So that's a good thing. But I don't even know what the minimum is now, but at least I think it's like 8 and 8.
Yeah.
Or, you know, or, you know, 12 and 12, you know, so I think it's a good thing, you know, for Craig to have this as long as it is, you know, done well. And he, like you said, his persona makes it kind of say like this is kind of like a whim, like he hasn't reserved the mat space yet, but I think it is, you know, I hope that it's successful for the athletes, because then that helps both sides if you do ADCC or you do CJI.
Right.
And do you think that maybe ADCC got a little complacent and they needed this kick in the ass?
100%.
Yeah, it's just like the UFC, like, you know, like, you want to make more money? We'll find more money. Yeah. And that's where competitors come in. Yeah. And I think that's a great thing.
Yeah.
Good competition isn't a bad thing for the athletes.
I think a good move is for ADCC to buy CJI and then, you know, and keep their staff on for a couple of years so that they run both. I mean, keep both brands, right?
Yeah. Interesting.
And CJI wants to do it annually. So, you know, and ADCC is, you know, every other year.
But I love that, because scarcity brings eyeballs.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
If it's every year, you're like, whatever. Like UFC fights. When was the last time you actually got together for a UFC fight? Like hung out at somebody's house for hours.
Christmas party.
Yeah, hours and make food and have drinks and have 20 people in the house that are all chipping in because cheap fucker. Anyway, but they're all chipping in. But and you have 2 TVs going and you got the backyard and all this shit. I haven't done it in years. Yeah. Because I know there's going to be another one next week. What the fuck do I care? Yeah. You know? Right. I don't know. I mean,
plus, I don't think any of us really care about the UFC
anymore.
Give a shit anymore. Yeah.
I love what they've done though. I mean, I think one thing I was going to say about athletes specifically is professional fighters, when they're given the opportunity, they win a fight, spectacular fashion, right? Almost a no-name, nobody. They get their $8,000 and they hand them the mic and like, who do you want to fight next? And they make a big mistake. They either say, I want to fight Conor McGregor, which is never going to happen because you're not a big enough name, or they say, I'll fight anybody the UFC puts in front of me. Idiot. Call out the number 10 guy in the world. Right? Call him out. Like, I know for a fact I can beat him. He does this wrong. He does that wrong. He has a weak camp. Just go after like everybody that he loves and then get that fight. Right? That's how you kind of build your brand, or else you're going to get stuck making that $8,000 a show. Yeah. That's how you build it. And that's a big mistake that I see fighters make.
Yeah. Anyway, I see that with Bo Nickel a lot. Like when you see him fight, he's just like, I was really interested in watching his I don't know if it was most recent one, but I watched one of his fights, and then afterwards he was just like, he was just beating up on himself a lot. He's like, man, he beat this guy's ass, and he's like, I fucking suck. Like, he's like, I'm terrible. Like, I gave him this and that, and but then he called out and said, give me a harder fight, give me more. Like, I'm obviously ready. And yeah, he's definitely playing that.
You got to be
really
specific. You got to be specific. Like, I want this guy because I know I can beat him, and this is how I'm going to beat him. And talk about his camp, talk about all his coaches, talk about his trainers, get everybody riled up. Like, fuck this guy, let's whip his ass. Bam, you got a big fight.
He just called out a Dagestani guy.
Did he?
Yeah,
that's a big.
I can't think of the name. He just fought at the last event in Saudi Arabia.
Aren't they all on terrorist watch list now?
Not all of them.
Did you hear about that?
Yeah, it's bad, dude.
But this guy,
What is it?
I can't think of the guy's name, but he can't fight in the U.S. because he lost an eye. Like he's blind in one eye, so the commission will never.
Yeah, you gotta.
And Dana said, "Oh, we'll just fight here. He'll just fight here."
Well, it's like, who's a British dude? What's his name? Bisping. His eye was fucked up for years.
I think it's still fucked up.
Oh no, it's still fucked up. But it's
not fucked up. It just doesn't work.
But he's not fighting. Yeah. But he could barely pass the medical. I think you had to have I think it's like 10% of your vision or something like that, and he would barely pass medical. Like, he would be in camp not knowing if he could pass medical. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. Let's talk about an org that seems to be doing it right. What do you guys think of Karate Combat?
What's that?
Is that the one in the pit?
Like, I like it.
Okay, well, I guess they're not doing it that right. But just kidding.
No, because Craig Jones had that. Was it the triangle jumping off?
Yeah.
It's a lot like the one stuff where it's like they'll have Muay Thai, they'll have MMA, they'll have Jiu-Jitsu. It's kind of like I don't know, it's kind of circusy to me.
I would like to see ADCC or CJI do a similar mat setup, because you can't run out of bounds.
Yeah. I think the pit is awesome.
Yeah.
Like the fact that the pit is inbounds all the way up to the top, so you can play off the wall and everything. It changes the dynamic.
You like it better than a cage?
I do because when you fall in a cage, you get trapped in that corner. With this, you can actually move around. You can push off the mats on the wall and you can walk yourself around, where the cage is so difficult because there's too much give.
Right.
I think that I really like the idea of having a grappling match where you can't not finish a takedown because they went out of bounds.
Right.
You can take them and put them into that wall, and then you can start working from there, slide them down, and then submit them. I like that. I like that a lot.
Well, and one thing that they do is they really make karate look badass.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, because one, you have guys in traditional gi pants,
Yeah.
and then they've got their belt on, but they're shirtless, and they have UFC gloves
That's
on.
what you like about it?
I think he does.
Yeah.
I think he does.
That's
so gross.
Badass. Nice asses in gi pants.
They gotta get rid of those pants.
That's the problem.
Just the belt.
They got the scrunchy butt on their pants.
But there's a knockout going around right now on social media where the guy he basically fakes a leg kick and just fucking kicks this dude in the head, and he took that guy's soul away, man. It's crazy. So when you think about karate, like traditionally, I think you think of it as more like you conflate it with Taekwondo a little bit. Like it's not that badass, right? But they're making karate look fucking cool.
Here's the thing with Taekwondo. Like, we shit on it and we say Jiu-Jitsu so much better. Dude, if one of those guys actually kicked you in the face, would you really want to keep fighting them?
Are they 12 or are they
12?
No.
A 12-year-old black belt? Yeah, maybe.
At 12, I'd whip his ass, but I'd just ragdoll him. I'm just saying, those guys can kick you in the head and fucking knock your ass out.
Well, I think anyone who's really trained in most of those arts, like, they could really fuck you up if they wanted to. Yeah. It's just jiu-jitsu seems to it seems to be and feels like the one that like, I don't know. I think maybe we're just all delusional. We think we're just super badass all the time because we're living in our echo chambers. But
yeah, but they say like, okay, 90% of fights go to the ground. Okay, cool. But if you're asleep when you hit the ground,
right,
you're not gonna be fighting a whole lot. I'm just saying.
Although I will say, if you look at the breakdown of UFC champions, it's people with a wrestling background.
There's a lot of karate guys that have been world champions as well.
How many rugby guys?
0.0.
Oh, what?
Yet.
There's one coming. All right. Melissa Christine asks, what is your...
Melissa, good to hear from you.
She had two really good questions, actually.
Let's
she only gets one.
One at a time.
What is your biggest jiu-jitsu ick? Just something that grosses you out about jiu-jitsu or that you see in jiu-jitsu that really grosses.
Here we go. We got a lot of these.
I got so many.
ADCC.
The bullpen at Master Worlds is so disgusting.
Oh, because there's like soda, or not soda, but it's just like drinks
Gatorade
spilled everywhere.
And people are like laying in it, and you're like, I hope you're not in my bracket, you fucking disgusting
Filthy
animal.
fucking animals.
Yeah. The fucking bullpens are so gross.
How?
Because people just spill
leave
shit.
Well, so people leave an open container, and then somebody walks by and knocks it over, and everybody pretends that it didn't happen.
Because no one wants to clean it up.
Because they're focused on their competition or whatever, but it's just like, they need to have like someone cleaning in there like constantly.
And then there's always one guy walking around with no shoes on. I want to punch them in the fucking face. I wish I knew karate.
I just know
kick him in the face.
I just know that at a tournament I'm going to get staff. That's it.
Yes. Chances are.
Just accept it.
Well, remember? You weren't with us. We did New York in 2015, and I remember being like laying on my side. It was a no-gi match, and there's like a dust bunny going across the mat. I'm like, this place is disgusting. That's all I could think. I'm in the middle of a match, and I'm judging the whole arena based on one dust bunny.
My biggest ick is when coaches tell their students that they can't train at other places.
That is ick. Yeah.
Like, I pay you. You're not my boss.
Here's the thing. Why can't you have the environment that no one wants to leave?
Right.
Why can't you just work your ass off and build that environment?
It's a lot harder.
I'm not saying that I have that environment because my students go train other places, but I will never stop them.
Yeah.
Hell
But
no.
I don't think that's because they want to leave. I think it's because you encourage them to go out and grow.
Explore, man.
And you know that they always have a home. When you give people an environment that they don't want to leave and that feels like a home, they're going to feel more confident going out to try something else.
Yeah.
I think
they
it
know
comes
they're not
from
going to be
those,
judged for it.
Comes from those days of like, oh, we have secret techniques that no one can learn.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah.
And it's like that doesn't exist anymore.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah.
It doesn't.
No.
But I mean, think about it from their point of view. Let's talk about 20 plus years ago, maybe longer than that. But there was like magazines that you could look at, some technique stuff, and then if you're studying under Hicks and Gracie. And then you got a guy that came from Brazil and his purple belt magically turned black before he opened his jiu-jitsu school. You probably don't want your students going to that school and cross-training because they're just going to be teaching their guys all your stuff.
Right.
Well, then we need to go back to the dojo storming days.
I think those days are long past.
I know, but...
Now you go to prison for that.
Yeah. Well, a lot of my students carry weapons, so that won't go over well.
They weren't like as rogue. I mean, a lot of the dojo storms were organized.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You think?
I know.
Yeah. Did you participate in one?
I never got to participate in one, but I know.
You're like, he's just a liability.
But weren't the dojo storms not jiu-jitsu versus jiu-jitsu? It was like jiu-jitsu karate, jiu-jitsu kung fu.
No, there was
taekwondo.
always that new black belt too. Like
a new one in town.
Yeah, like this guy just opened up a jiu-jitsu school.
So you want to go beat up his white belts, you fucking asshole?
I would, but then like the people that were good were like, well, what's your lineage? Like, where did you get your black belt? Who'd you get your black belt from?
Yeah. And
if they didn't have like a legitimate answer, well, why don't you come down to our gym or we'll come to yours and let's just have a match. Let's have a 5-minute, 10-minute match.
I think that was one of the things that is like a really great part of the jiu-jitsu lineage, though, is like when you had like the Gracies that came, like, when they came to the U.S. and like went out and literally just like challenged black belts in various martial arts. Like I think that it's a really great way to like prove the legitimacy of your art.
Yeah,
yeah. But in those days, the Brazilians that were coming over were actually fighters.
Right.
They weren't grapplers, and it wasn't like a point system.
Yeah.
They were actual fighters. Like they punched, they kicked, they beat the shit out of each other.
They weren't winning
And,
matches.
oh, by the way,
they weren't winning matches by advantage.
there was no advantage. Yeah, there was no advantage matches. Like Rickson Gracie talks about it in his book Breathe. He talks about this guy and this Japanese dude that was like his rival, and the guy came to his academy, and I think he threatened maybe his dad or something like that. But Rickson's like on his way there, like they called him at his house, and he's on his way there, and he's taping his fucking hands, like he's
ready to go.
He's ready to scrap. Yeah. And he told the dude like no cameras, just me and you. And he says, when we fight for points, I will let you go when you tap. When we fight for honor, I will let you go when I'm exhausted.
Yeah.
That is a threat for your ass, man.
Right.
That is a threat for your ass. And that's the difference between today and back then. Today, it's like, let's go have a 10-minute match. They're like, no, well, let's go fuck each other up and just settle it.
And I think now it's hard to just say I have a black belt.
Yeah.
Let's say 15 years ago,
Dude.
it'd be,
Yeah. Dude, when I started jiu-jitsu, like if there was a black belt on the match, you're like, oh, shit, this is going to be good. You know what I mean? Even two brown belts going at it, like everybody stopped and we just want to watch.
One of the best matches I saw was brown belt Eric Red Schaefer versus purple belt. No, he was a brown belt. Keenan Cornelius.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah. And then another good one was Henry Matamoros, who was my first jiu-jitsu instructor. He was a brown belt at the time. There's this purple belt who was really known for his triangles named Ryan Hall. Who? Yeah. And I saw my first heel hook that day. I heard Henry's knee snap from the top of the bleachers. Wow. Yeah. Because we just trained triangle defense.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it was that old school leg locks. No one does leg locks. Right. We don't need to learn leg locks.
You can't pass guard. That's why you do leg locks.
And he went 50-50 and snapped Henry's knee.
Yeah.
Wow. Other icks, go.
What's that?
What's your ick?
Oh, ick. Yeah, ick.
And I think more it's the bare feet. I see it a lot in tournaments.
So gross.
And I would say we have one of the cleanest gyms. And if I see someone barefoot on our floor, which I know is clean,
right?
No, you're
gross.
Yeah,
gross, man.
Yeah, my 2-year-old. Whenever I take my 5-year-old into class, I'll bring my 2-year-old, and my 2-year-old loves to have his shoes off because his brother's got his shoes off, so he's got to have his shoes off, and he loves to go in the bathroom with his fucking shoes off. And every time I'm like, you are so gross. You are so gross.
Yeah.
Kids, they're all disgusting.
There's so many icks though. Like
jiu-jitsu is gross.
Yeah,
it's kind of a gross.
But beyond the gross and feet on the mats, like your example's a great ick. Like those are things that kind of irk you.
Yeah.
What does irk even mean? But you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But really, like there's some things that people do and say that you're like, why?
Idolizing people like just because of their rank is also really ick to me.
Yeah.
Also, like when people are like, "Oh, professor," and they like have to show respect, which like whatever, it's fine if you want to, but like I think it's kind of like gross to be like expecting
it. Yeah,
this, like
that's
level
the gross
of like
part.
like I'm like whatever, dude. Just I'm Alex. Like
or
whatever.
Same. Yeah.
It's like your name is Alex.
My name Alex. Yeah.
I disagree with that. You should worship me.
Well, I do, in a lot of ways.
And there's nothing wrong with like those people that do it. It's just like it's the expectation of like, oh, I got my black belt, now I'm king.
Yeah, I assure you are not.
Right.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact,
there could be only one.
Yeah.
When I got my black belt, actually I was a brown belt, and we were at dinner, and someone asked me like what my goals are. Obviously expecting me to say, oh, I can't wait to get my black belt, stuff like that. I was like, my main goal right now in jiu-jitsu is to promote a black belt.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm looking beyond my personal shit. Like I want to see somebody that came up, through my school and promote them to black belt. That's like, and it still is my goal. I haven't done it yet, right? The black belts that I've promoted have been through Paul, right? Because I can't promote black belts yet. So that kind of gave me a long-term goal because at the time I hadn't even achieved the rank yet, which much less been there 6 years to make me eligible to present somebody with their black belt. But that's really my goal.
Yeah.
Like if you want to talk about a proud moment, that's going to be a hell of a achievement.
Yeah.
So.
But building off of that, like the false idolization, in my opinion, of black belts in general. But also, like, thinking you can only learn technique from black belts is also really ick to me. Like, I've had blue belts who like were really good wrestlers, and I'm like, oh, that's cool. Show me how you do that. Like, that just because someone's not a black belt doesn't mean they don't have something in particular figured out.
Yep.
You know.
Yep. And I've rolled with purple belts that have, you know, either swept me or set something up really nice, and I'm like, stop. You got to show me what you just did, because that was fucking cool, you know, and you can learn from everybody. And like, I tell people, like, what do you learn from white belts, like brand new white belts? Super strong, right? You learn that fundamentals absolutely work. Close guard, scissor sweep, mount,
I was going to say, this is where I actually disagree. We can't learn anything from white belts.
No, but you learn that your fundamentals come in really handy, because if you're trying to set up like a spider, if I set up a spider guard or a spider lasso on you, you're going to lean into it and be like, okay, how am I going to beat this, right? You're playing the puzzle.
Yeah.
Brand new white belts are ripping your freaking grips, and they're standing straight up, and they're just trying to get, because they don't know what's happening, right? So what do? Pull them into close guard. You get them on their knees. Awesome. Scissor sweep, mount, armbar. That's where the fundies comes into play. Yeah. And that's how you kind of keep that fresh in your mind.
Yeah.
I'll say another ick that I've known is how women grapplers are, like, I would say probably 75 of their DMs are absolutely disgusting.
Oh,
What?
Oh, I can only imagine.
guys, like the way they treat
Like,
women.
I would let you triangle me.
Oh no!
Like, that is
So bad.
yeah.
For me, it's like, does that work ever? like
Well,
you see
yeah.
it in the comments all the time on, like,
Yeah.
in Instagram, like on Reels, if it's a woman showing a technique.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, I'd let her do that to me. Like you're saying. And it was like,
It's got to work for someone.
Yeah.
Otherwise, all
honestly
these
doubt it.
fucking idiots wouldn't be doing it.
Or like, why are you sticking your ass out like that? I'm like, well, I'm bending over. I need to do that. You know, like,
Yeah. That
is
is a big ick. That is
Yeah,
a big
like-
ick. So gross.
I see stuff on social media though that's ick in that regard though, where like there are certain pages that I'll see that specifically every video is just a woman's ass, and they're like, look at this technique, but it's really just the woman's ass is all you're watching. That's the focus, you know. So I think that's a little.
Yeah.
I don't know.
those are the pages you follow, Shackelford.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we follow because it's on Foxcast Instagram. They
Yeah.
pop up. But my ick is really, usually it's just like hygiene stuff, like dirty, nasty, like skid marks on the gis, dirty, nasty.
Skid marks. Who's shitting their geese?
Dude.
It happens, man.
one time. I do it one time.
Labeled for life.
Yeah. I think that, and I mean, there's just a lot of there's a lot of kind of, I guess, like gross stuff that just comes, like I was saying, like jiu-jitsu is kind of gross. You get someone else's sweat in your mouth. You're smelling someone else's like sweat and body odor.
I think that's too literal. I don't think.
You think it's too literal?
I don't even
man.
think that's what people mean when they say.
When they
like,
say,
what's your
I don't
ick?
know, maybe.
I
But
mean, because that's like shit. You just, that's not an ick. You need to get over that, or
True.
it's not the sport
I'm not
for you.
qualified to speak on the social icks, so I see only the physical icks.
Gotcha.
There we go. Tequila boys. And Colin. Boys and Colin.
He's got
I got
the
the-
Barry White.
He's got his Barry White.
All
right, next question.
They also make
Okay.
a honey vice, and you mix them together.
Oh, one other
It's
ick.
a honey bear.
One other ick, and I think you guys will you all agree with me. Guys who will basically they'll make you hurt them. Like they won't tap.
Oh my god.
Oh.
Yeah.
I let
fucking
'em
hate-
go,
Like their
man. I
ego,
can't,
their
yeah.
ego just can't accept a tap. So they'll either get put to sleep, which I love your rule. If you get put to sleep tonight, you're not training. You're done.
You're done. Yeah.
Because it's a liability.
100%.
You know, and same with like people who will make you like pop their ankle or make you pop their arm. It's just like, okay, like what? So what? I'm expected to like not do anything because you are refusing.
Because you're stupid.
Yeah, because you're
Yeah.
stupid.
Yeah. You're stupid.
Right?
Yeah.
'Cause it takes away from everybody. You should know where you're caught. Tap. Now let's go do something else.
Yeah.
Let's
and
switch steps.
then you pop their fucking knee, and now you're automatically the bad guy.
You're the asshole, right?
You're the asshole.
Because you should.
Yeah.
I'm like, he should have tapped.
Yeah.
It's not like especially like when you're rolling with your peers, like especially at our level.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we're rolling with brown belts, black belts, Colin. But I mean, like, especially at that higher level, like, I would say if you're a blue belt or above, like, you have zero excuse not to tap.
Yeah. No, when I roll with Colin, when he's grabbing my feet, like I have the the tap ready to go.
Really?
Because
I don't ever feel any danger.
There's going to be a point where the leg entanglement is such that I am screwed and I got to teach tomorrow, or I got I can't be limping around the fucking mat.
I love rolling with Sierra, and she'll grab my like a toe hold, and I'll just look at her. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Break it.
Yeah. I told one of our teammates once, he was cranking on my leg, and I just went, "Go ahead, make your adjustment. I'll wait."
Yeah. Until it does pop.
Yeah.
I was rolling with Damien Hasakawa. I think he might have even been a purple belt.
Oh.
But it was like a while ago. It was
Yeah.
a handful of years ago, and we were like, he's like, "You cool? We play foothold?" I'm like, "Yeah, fuck yeah, dude, let's go." and we're like, he has the toe hold on, and we're rolling, and all of a sudden my ankle pops, and he stops and let go, and he's like, "What the fuck?" And I was like, "I mean, it feels fine," but he like totally popped my ankle.
Yeah.
It's just like, it happens.
Yeah, it happens. He's such a good kid. I love Damien.
Yeah, I like Damien too. But anyways, all right. That was another one that Ramsey and I were talking about that. It's like these fucking guys just like want you. They either want you to get hurt or they're just like too fucking stupid to like, oh, I need to win this match. Like
I need to win practice.
Yeah, I need to win practice. It's like,
bro, I'm your coach. Like
Yeah.
we're friends here.
yeah. Because the other thing is like tapping is feedback for your opponent.
Yes.
So if you're not tapping, that means I'm not doing it right.
Right.
So that means I'm going to make an adjustment that might make it tighter, and then now you're
Now you're screwed. Yeah.
But if you're just being like stubborn,
Yeah.
and I have it on right, and I'm just like, well, I guess I just don't have it right. Maybe I need to do this, and now your ankle's popped.
Yeah.
or
Especially if
whatever.
you have a job that requires you to be on your feet.
Yeah. Which is a lot of us, because a lot of us are, I wouldn't say necessarily hobbyists, but it's just like
We're hobbyists.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess we're not really like. I mean, you kind of technically make your living off of this.
I do, but really, like, I run a school. I have a lot of like if I pop my elbow,
Right.
I could have my classes covered. Like
Sure.
I've got a great coaching staff.
Yeah, but we have a lot of blue collar.
I have
people.
the best coaching staff.
There's a lot of blue
You do have badass
collar
coaching staff.
people in jiu-jitsu who like, cops,
Yeah.
firefighters, construction workers, and
Yeah.
those people need to be able to move. And if you let yourself get popped, and a lot of them like either have no insurance or bad insurance.
Oh my God.
Like they can't afford it. Like
Yeah.
I always tell the story of a training partner I had when he was a white belt. He was in the fire academy, but he wasn't an official firefighter.
Mm-hmm.
And he had a shoulder pop because going against another spazzy white belt. And throughout his entire career, he actually just got his black belt. So, but he was very picky on who he chose to roll with.
Yeah.
Because being a firefighter was more important than a colored belt around his waist.
100%.
sure, yeah,
Yeah.
that's a living.
But he loved jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
But he never competed. He just
Smart dude.
yeah.
What's the right thing to do in that situation?
Tap.
Is
when you got 'em?
as the person who So if they're not tapping,
Catch and release.
they're gonna get it popped eventually. So what's the right thing to do? Do you
So-
just do it, or do you just let them go?
So if I do a catch and release on somebody, I got to punish them a little bit. Like, they should have tapped to the armbar. They should have tapped to whatever, something that could have broken a joint, and they just refused to, and I have to let them go because I don't want to hurt, my own guys. But I'll get them in mount, and I will torture them in mount. I will torture them. I'll cocoon them.
Which is really
I was gonna say the sad thing is I think a lot of these guys like, and this is probably a controversial answer, but like I think a lot of these guys need to have their elbow popped. And
You're not wrong.
And here's
I'm
one
doing
way
this
to-
for your own good,
There's
kid.
6 a.m. Ball Nava.
but you know how I just talked about how like that tap is feedback for the person applying the
Yeah.
submission.
Yeah.
Well, getting your elbow popped is good feedback for you, because so what if you get this guy who's like, oh, I'm just going to be tough, and then you release. A lot of these guys are too stupid to know that they didn't just get let go.
Yeah.
They think they're like, oh, I survived this because I'm tough, so
Yeah.
I'm just going to continue to be tough.
I mean, you can also give them some feedback at the end. Be like, hey, man, I was on the verge of breaking your elbow.
Sure.
You need to not do that.
Yeah, but how often does that work on guys? Like,
Not very often.
They're all idiots,
But
you know?
I mean, I was an idiot too, man. There were a lot of times when I should have tapped and I didn't, and thank goodness I never got really hurt too bad. But I was probably that guy that people had to catch and release.
Right.
But there was a point where I went from this, I knew I was spazzy because I was told that I was spazzy. But then, you notice that like the people you want to train with, like the good people in the room, they don't want to train with you.
right.
yeah.
So you end up training with the same 3 people that are all spazzy and you're getting beat up. Or you could do what I did and just chill the fuck out.
Yeah.
Start on your butt. I did that. I started training from my butt, and now after like 6 months, like the higher belts wanted to train with me because I wasn't throwing elbows or headbutting them or kicking them in the face.
The reality is the right answer depends on who you're talking about.
Yeah.
Because some people, you'd be like, yo, dude, you were basically going to make me break your arm. I let you go because I didn't want to fucking break your arm. You need to tap more often.
Yeah.
Sometimes that works for some people. Some of them, they hear that and it goes in one ear, not the other.
Yeah.
And they're like, okay, cool. All right. And then they're stuck in that position again. Like, and I'm not saying that means you need to go break their arm, but they need to have their arm broken. Like they need to have like it popped in order for them to learn that lesson. That's not saying that you need to teach them that lesson, but it's going to happen. And that's when they're going to learn, not you having that conversation. Unfortunately, some people just don't learn that way.
Yeah. But I mean, most of the lessons that I've learned have been hard lessons.
Yeah.
You know, so.
Because we're kind of idiots.
Yeah, I'm fucking stupid, man. It takes me a minute. It takes me a minute. Yeah.
But I mean, you see it all the time, especially like young, like 20-something-year-old dudes.
Yeah.
You know, especially ones like who you were talking about, the ego guys who come in are like, oh, I used to wrestle.
Yeah.
It's like, well, wrestling's a lot of like being tough, but like you're never really like, no one's there trying to break your arm.
Yeah.
In wrestling.
Well, I mean, think about it like try being, you know, a 24-year-old, a 25-year-old grappling against me. Mm-hmm. Like I already look like old man River.
This old fuck.
Yeah. And then have you seen me like sweaty and tired? It's pretty pathetic.
Yeah.
Right? So like, you know, I'm not going to lose this old timer. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yes, you are.
Yeah.
By a lot. You're going to lose by a lot.
I think a lot of times with those kind of like, especially the young guys who are like in shape and they have that kind of mentality.
Yeah.
You piece them up and you like make sure that you're breathing out of your nose.
Yep.
You're like,
yep.
Not even trying.
Yep.
And that usually sometimes, I mean, and again, it depends on the guy, right? Some guys are like, will see that and they'll be like, that guy fucking just beat me without even trying. And some guys are like, fuck that guy.
Yeah.
It's like, it's just like, like I was saying, there's no right answer because everyone's so different.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I mean, and for me, like as a gym owner and as a coach, like if I see people doing that, I'll just flat out tell them like, hey, you go to sleep, you're done for the night.
Yep.
You know, I'm not going to.
Which I think is an awesome rule, and I mean, largely like the right answer is most black belts, brown belts, most purple belts. I would even say like when you have it.
Yeah.
So catch and release is the more right answer.
Yeah. You hear that?
I know it because I said it. I said the right answer.
But you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But it's like the right answer for that guy to learn isn't necessarily catch and release.
Yeah.
But the right answer as the practitioner is like. Or especially because like we are in a mentor state, like being a black belt, or I guess you're a brown belt, olive belt.
Hey, what did your buddy say about when you got your brown belt? What was it?
Someone's got to be the worst brown belt. It's been a progression.
Greatest line.
Oh God, yeah.
That's the greatest.
It's usually like
line.
the first or second text I get whenever I get promoted. That's what someone's got to be the worst.
I'm the most okayest black belt.
Most okayest black belt. Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's great.
So something I'd like to test just like. As my own mentality is, I've always kind of considered that one of the defining characteristics between like white belt to blue belt is basically like housebreaking, like getting them to calm down, getting them to stop being spazzy.
I thought you meant using the restroom.
Well, they should do that too.
While wearing flip-flops or sandals.
Don't piss on my mats.
But essentially like getting them to just calm down. Like I've definitely had like spazzy white belts that I've rolled with and told them afterwards, like, dude, you just got to breathe. You got to calm down or whatever. But I've always kind of felt that like one of the fundamental differences between a white belt and a blue belt is the ability to calm down and not be spazzy. Is that true, or is it not a requirement?
I know black belts who don't do it. So
okay, fair enough.
Yeah, like it's just like it's a mentality thing. I think a lot of it comes from not being in shape and trying to push yourself. Because with like the more tired you get, the more not spazzy necessarily, but the more
mistakes you make,
frantic and like. Desperate you're gonna get because you're like, oh man, I'm losing my, like, when you're starting to like lose your stamina, right? So it's just like the better, like I feel like the better in shape you are, the less likely you are to be like that spaz and like lose control of yourself.
I think what I find, like I don't know if this is to your point, but just thought about this while you were talking because I wasn't listening to you.
At least he's honest.
When you're rolling with purple belts. And they're doing things that they don't need to do, and you're like they're good unless you know what they're trying to do and you can break it easily. Yeah. And then you're like, oh, this guy's not fundamentally sound.
Right.
Right. They kind of understand what they're doing, but they don't know why they're doing it.
Yeah.
Or why it works, right? So little things like a sweep, for instance. Like every sweep has 3 things in common, right? And they're trying to sweep you. They're trying to sweep you.
What are the 3 things?
What's that?
What are the 3 things that sweeps have in common?
You have
interested.
You have to off balance your opponent. You have to get them to their hip, and you got to get your hips higher than theirs. Right? If you can accomplish those three things, you have a sweep. If you can't, you don't. Right? That requires like taking away their ability to post, all that other shit. But those are the 3 elements that
taking
they're
note right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah. But
I'm absorbing that.
But they go to sweep you. They go to sweep you, and they have like 1 of 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, so did this guy not understand what he needs? You know, those are the
Well,
things.
it's a difference between knowing a technique and like knowing the concept behind a technique,
yeah.
right? Because a
Right.
lot of people can do a scissor sweep when you have an opponent that's going to let you do a scissor sweep.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. In practice,
Yeah, it's easy.
I'm a bad motherfucker in practice.
Oh, fuck yeah. When you're giving me
Undefeated.
0%,
But you know what?
Sweep everybody.
That's another thing I was talking about the other day. Like, I told the class this. I said, I have never been in a situation where I said, thank goodness my training partner didn't let me do this technique.
yeah.
Right?
I agree.
I've never said that. I've never said, thank goodness, Colin just never let me do the scissor sweep in practice. No, it's those things where you get that muscle memory, muscle memory. And then when I don't know what happens during a match, but you just see it in a split second, like there it is, and you nail it.
Yeah.
Because Colin was a good training partner, not fighting you. I've had people in fundies asking me that they want to go to the mixed levels. He's like, well, nobody's catching me in fundamentals.
Because
fuck are you talking about?
fucking
Yeah,
trying. What
yeah.
the fuck?
Exactly, man. Like,
Well, that's one of the weird things to me is like, I feel like personally, like if you're not at least good, if you're beyond a 1 stripe white belt and you're not going to mixed levels, you're missing out on a big piece. That's what it feels like to me. Like you were talking about people who basically make to blue belt only training fundies. Like I feel like you're missing out on a big piece if you're not going into the mixed levels and getting real live rounds in.
Exhausted.
Maybe I'm wrong.
No, exhausted rounds.
Exhausted rounds.
Yeah.
Well, that's I don't know. Like one of the common sayings is like when you're exhausted is that's when your real jiu-jitsu comes out.
Absolutely.
I think that's true. But the situational rounds that I've seen you guys do in your guys' fundamentals class, I fucking hate doing situationals.
Those are so frustrating.
But situationals are the best way to get good at a technique.
100%.
Yes.
Because like,
100%.
like we were just talking about, like when your partner is doing 0%, you can hit any technique on them. It's awesome when you in my opinion, the best way to do it is like do a handful of reps, 0%, 20%, 40%, and build that resistance. And then now you can do it when your partner is 100% trying to resist this position.
Yeah.
And if you can hit it then, that's how you know you got it.
Yeah.
And that's the best part about doing situationals. You're put in a position because the problem with situationals, or the reason that I think a lot of people hate situationals, is you're put in a position where you're learning, right? So like say you're learning how to do reverse El Hiva sweep or something like that, right? You're already not comfortable because you're in a position you're not 100% positive, confident in, right? And now you're being forced into this position, and you have a resisting opponent.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
So you're like, fuck this. I hate this. He keeps passing my reverse El Hiva or whatever. Right. And it's just like, that's how you get better at that position is you get put in that bad position because you're not going to choose to be in that position when you're tired.
Yeah.
Right. Or when you have a fully resistant because you're not confident in that position. The only way to get confident is to force yourself to be in that position against a resisting opponent.
Yeah. And you will always get a compliment from me whenever you hit a move that I know is coming and there's not a damn thing I can do about it.
Right.
I will always compliment that. Like, that was fucking good because I knew exactly what you were doing.
I think I have a good John Wayne sweep. When I roll with Ramsey, I know he's going to do the John Wayne sweep to me. And then he fucking does it to me.
Every single
time. And I'm like, God damn it. I can't help but to look at him and be like, yep.
But the thing about Ramsey, he's fully committed to hitting that sweep, and then he's going to armbar you.
Yeah.
There was a guy posted something that one of his icks was giggling in class. I will giggle when I know I'm like screwed. Like I'm getting like a butterfly sweep. I'm like, oh, this is unfortunate.
Sometimes I get my ass beat so hard and I just laugh. I'm just like, okay,
I do all the time. Like I don't buy that. Like I think first and foremost, jiu-jitsu is gonna it should be fun.
Yeah.
If you're not having a good time, then
What's the
what are you
fucking
doing?
point?
Yeah.
Because I love like when you're rolling with somebody, like when Ramsey hits that John Wayne sweep on me. I know it's coming. I know I'm gonna get hit with it. Like I'm doing my best to defend it, but he's so good at the timing on it, and he hits it. I can't help but to laugh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are you going to do, man? Yeah. It's okay.
Obviously, I can't stop it, so I'm just gonna laugh.
Did you ever see the video footage of Coach Steve flipping me?
Maybe.
It's somewhere on camera. I don't know if it was like if you recorded it just in the academy cameras or not, but like
Okay.
it was right in front of one of the academy cams. But we were literally doing like I had him in like side control, and he just kind of picked me up and threw me off of him, and I just landed on my back like I break fall, and I just fucking laughed so hard.
my
It was
God.
hilarious.
But I mean, like
He's an animal.
He is.
and Ramsey's like obviously Ramsey's better. He's a better black belt than I am. But like even when do you know Chris Serta, blue belt at Paul's?
Maybe.
Tall-
Yeah, I'm sure I
he's
do.
a tall skin.
Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah, Chris, yeah.
I can pass his guard, and then I'll get into side control, and he has this reversal from side control that he hits so well. Like if I let my hip get a little too high, he's taking advantage, and I'm going over. And every time he does it to me, I'm just like, yeah, I knew that was coming. You just can't help it.
Justin has one like that as well.
It's just like
the robo roll
Yeah.
every time.
Fucking hate it. Yeah.
Like, what are you gonna do? Get mad? Like,
No,
fucking
you
laugh
gotta respect
at
it.
and then
Gotta respect it.
exactly.
Yeah.
Like that whole like the giggle ick thing that you're talking about is like that's so dumb. That's like
I remember-
that's a macho thing.
You were complaining because all my like competition photos is me smiling,
Yes.
and you're like, "Can you get like a serious one?" Like, no, I'm
Like
doing
when
what I love doing. Like this is
Yeah,
fun. Like I
yeah.
have a smile on my face.
Yeah.
But like when I was at Orange County, I was like, what's his name? Freitas, whatever. He's like a legend black belt guy, and I was rolling with him, and he was like the way he was passing my guard. He had his head underneath my chin, and he was like detaching my head from my fucking shoulders. And like we ended up like kind of like shifting to the point where we had to like reset. And like in that middle of that shift, I was like, talk about fucking pressure, dude. And he just like kind of smiled. I'm like, what am I going to say? I'm like, you got to respect it, right?
For sure.
And there's no reason not to be having fun with it. I mean, it sucks that he's like, fucking me up with this head pressure, but like, you got to respect
Yeah.
it.
Oh no, they'll kill you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's all love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I think going back to like the situationals thing, like I definitely, so I there were not a lot of times that I've gotten frustrated over the course of doing jiu-jitsu and training, but there one of the times was after situationals, and I do get frustrated by situationals. And when it first happened, I think I was either Coach D or it might have been you, but I remember talking to you and be like, man, I don't get frustrated a lot. But then I finally got frustrated, and so I went to one of my coaches and I said, okay, I'm finally frustrated, and I explained that it was just a situational, and I was like, I just couldn't hit it. And my coach was like, well, they know it's coming, and they outweigh you by 50 pounds. What did you think was going to happen?
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, like that makes a lot of sense. But situationals, I think for a lot of white belts, like, and just like a lot of people more at my level, like it can be very frustrating because you feel like you suck. You're
The thing is, you got to remember when the jiu-jitsu, when the jiu-jitsu is equal, that's when the weightlifting and that's when the cardio kicks in and that's when the size kicks in. All of that doesn't play a factor when the jiu-jitsu is off balanced, right? So if they're on their they're on their second week, right, and you're going on your third year, you should overtake them. You should take their back and you should choke them out.
Yeah.
Even if they outweigh you by 50 pounds.
Right.
Right. But when the technique is equal, that's when the weight and all of the other factors kick in.
Literally the dumbest thing John Danaher has ever said. He was in an interview and he was talking about how he's like, I've never noticed the difference between a guy who can bench 100 pounds heavier than another guy. I was like, the fuck you haven't.
Fuck you haven't. Yeah.
Yeah,
No.
like either you're not rolling with people or you've noticed it.
Yeah.
Because you can absolutely notice when, like, especially like you said, when all other things are equal, the stronger guy is going to have the advantage.
Yeah. That's why when you have an open weight class with two brown belts and one of them is like 300 pounds and the other one's like 150 pounds, if that 150 pounder isn't Mike Musumeci, he's probably going to lose.
Yeah.
right.
If he doesn't have like much, and then that's the thing. It's like sometimes,
And I say that because the technique is not equal at that point.
right.
The technique
That's-
is not.
That's what I was gonna say.
even if they're both brown belts.
Yeah.
Yeah, because brown belt doesn't mean they're equals in technique.
True.
Because a bigger guy, oftentimes the bigger the weight class, the more they've got to rely on their strength and weight. The smaller guy, like Mikey Musumeci, is a good example. Right,
Great example.
has a far and beyond better technique than any other person that's like 100 pounds his senior.
Dude, when he ran through Gabriel Souza,
It was pretty
I don't
impressive.
watch jiu-jitsu, dude. I watched that match.
That was a good match.
It was quick.
His
Tojo and I
interview-
were rolling in the corner by the TV.
Yeah. No, we weren't. We were paying attention. We were in class.
We were
Yeah.
totally
focus.
paying attention, coach. Yeah.
So this leads me to an interesting question. What is the most, as coaches, what is one of the most common things that students will come to you and that they're struggling with? Something like, I suck in, like I did this situational and I couldn't hit it. I suck. I feel bad. What's something similar to that as coaches you've heard?
It's everything.
It's everything.
It's like
Yeah.
like sometimes it's simple stuff like I'm struggling with making weight. Sometimes it's like, hey,
Mental.
I keep
Sometimes
getting
it's
stuck
mental.
in side control.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's like, hey, I'm burnt out.
Yeah.
You know, it's as a coach, it's like that's who everyone comes to is the coach.
That's the one when somebody talks to me about burnout,
Uh-huh.
I always take that on me because I think I should be able to see that. And maybe I can't, right? I have so many people on the mat. But like when I see somebody like truly burning out, I feel like I need to step in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's such a fine line that you ride between like pushing your athletes to be like, hey, if you want to accomplish this goal, you need to be in here 4 or 5 days a week, right? But then burnout is real.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
like sometimes the answer is, hey, you need to step back a little bit.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
but I mean, it varies from person to person. It's
Well, but let me ask you this: like, how close are your matches typically
in like a
in competition?
tournament, always close.
Real close, right?
Yeah.
Advantage, maybe
Yeah.
2 points, right? What happens if you go in there with a taped up wrist, taped up ankle, fucked up knee,
You get
your neck,
fucked.
you're dead, right? So that's why I tell people like it doesn't serve you to come in and kill yourself and break your body down because the margin of error is so tight. And I don't care what belt level it is. The margin of error is so tight that if you show up at 60%, you're going to lose by more than you should,
Yeah.
right? You don't have a chance to win.
Well, that's like the weight cut thing, right? Like
Yeah.
when people are like, if you have to be sitting in a hot tub for an hour cutting like 10 pounds of water
Yeah, the day of or the night before.
like there's a difference, right? Like if you only have to make a couple of pounds of water weight, that's fine. It
still
but
sucks.
if you're cutting 10, 20 pounds, like at that point, there's a diminishing returns.
100%. Yeah.
You're
You
gonna be
probably shouldn't even
exhausted.
show. You shouldn't even show.
Yeah. It's
I mean,
not worth your time.
there's few people that can do it. Like Josh was a good example. He could kill himself on a weight cut and still perform amazingly.
How would he have performed if he cut right?
Yeah. I
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He probably would have won.
Yeah.
Or might have won. You don't know.
Maybe.
You don't know.
Maybe.
But you did
thing
see
is,
a good difference between the trials and the actual tournament.
yeah, for sure.
Like,
for sure. Yeah.
Like even the matches that he lost, like he looked really good.
He looked amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah. I mean, but the thing is like when the bracket gets so small that everybody in the world knows every name on that bracket, any one of those guys can win.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
It's so fucking tight. The margin of error is so tight.
But back to the burnout thing, like how much are you getting out of a like, so say like you are like, maybe you're in that weight cut or you're trying to prep for a tournament, right? So you're trying to be there every single day so you can get every second of jiu-jitsu you possibly can. But like, you're just trying to survive class.
Yeah.
Like if you're at that point where you're so exhausted, your body's so deteriorated, you're probably not getting anything out of
No,
that match.
you're not focusing on your goals. You're
Yeah.
not showing up with a purpose, right? You have no reason to show up.
You're just surviving.
You're just surviving class. And you're doing it out of, it's all ego,
yeah.
right? It's
Or
100%
not even necessarily
ego.
ego. Maybe you just think that's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I did that a lot, and it didn't serve me well.
Yeah.
I mean, I always got injured shortly after I did that.
Yeah.
So it's just stupid.
Yeah. So back to parallels to rock climbing. One of the most common.
Who gives a shit about rock climbing?
As you were talking about injuries. When you were talking about injuries, is like the most common.
I hope you fall off the fucking rock and get injured. That's
no
yeah.
one falls off stuff and gets hurt.
no,
They die.
Idiots do.
really.
Yeah. People get injured like literally like climbing, like popping like ligaments in their fingers. And stuff.
Oh, I see. Okay.
But like, almost without fail, every time you hear someone who got injured rock climbing, it's because they were right before they were peaking, because they were training too much.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
You know, and I think that there's a there's a pretty decent parallel, I think, in jiu-jitsu, where a lot of times it's those guys who are overtraining that end up getting hurt.
Well, I mean, you're
if it's not from like oh, I got armbarred.
Yeah. Well, your training partner cares about you. You know, the Rock don't give a fuck about your life.
That's true.
That Rock was here for a long time before. It'll be a long time after.
Yeah. What's the hardest part about rock climbing?
Telling your parents you're gay.
That's not where I was going with it.
I was thinking it.
That's not where I was going. Oh my god. No. When I talk about the hard part about jiu-jitsu, it's like eating right. Hydrating, recovering, stretching. For me, like the hard work and grind was always the easy part.
Yeah.
I struggle more with my diet and hydration and all that shit.
To seriously answer your question, like, there's so many parallels between rock climbing, like between people who want to. Your parents here. to people who want to perform at rock climbing who are trying to perform well, and people who want to perform well at jiu-jitsu, it's almost always the same stuff. A lot of it's like eating disorders are really common in rock climbing because people want to be as light as possible, but also as strong as possible. So they're not eating right and overtraining. Does that sound familiar?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then they get hurt.
Yeah.
Right? That stuff happens all the time.
Yeah.
Right? And then dealing with losing, so not succeeding, not doing something that they're preparing for. But then, like I was talking about earlier, sometimes succeeding sucks.
Yeah.
Right? Because you accomplish that goal and you're like, now what's my goal?
I'll tell you what, man. Like, I don't know if you've ever seen there's a documentary called The Price of Gold. Mm-hmm. And it's all about these world champions. Like, who's a swimmer guy?
Michael Phelps.
Michael Phelps. Like, he would hit like a serious depression, like suicidal depression after winning.
Right.
Because he's like, okay, so what now? Like, I've worked towards this goal for 4 years.
Yep.
Like, what do I do now?
Like I said, it's fleeting. You need to, and I think that comes from a lot of people who like define themselves by their jiu-jitsu or by their swimming or rock climbing or whatever it is.
Yeah. So I think one thing that I did in jiu-jitsu that really served me well is I quit focusing on outcome and just focused on the process.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If
just
you can
better.
do that, if you can do that, you will not burn out. Like if you just focus strictly on if I don't win, then I'm a loser, right? Or rather than, hey, this is a lifelong progression, right? There's a lifelong pursuit, and as long as I follow these basics to get to there, I will get better.
Right.
And who the fuck, dude? It's a coin flip. It's a coin flip the way the brackets lay out, the way, your match goes. Maybe somebody was sick the week before. Maybe they've been injured. You never know. The stud in your bracket that you're afraid of could have had a bad week.
Or maybe he didn't make weight.
Or he didn't make weight. And
the number one guy in my bracket at Nationals didn't show up.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's your bracket lining up for you, right? There's so many things that need to go right in order for you. Like if you're solely focused on one tournament like I am, so many things that need to go right for you to win it. And they haven't for me in a long time. Like I've won my first 3 matches or 2 matches and then I lose in the quarterfinals. I have not podiumed at Black Belt and Master Worlds yet.
Yeah.
And I've trained my ass off. So, I mean, a lot of things got to go right, man.
Yeah.
But I believe that they will. Like, I believe in the process. I believe that I can do it.
You know when they'll never go right? If you never show up.
If you never show up. If you quit, if you quit, it'll never go right. I mean, or if you just throw your hands up and say, I can't do it. You're fucking right. You can't do it.
Yeah. Well, they say that one of my favorite sayings is success is where preparation meets opportunity, right? So it's like you said. I'm just kidding. It's like if you show up, right, and you're prepared, then all the stuff you can't control, when it does line up, you're ready and waiting for it. And then that's when you find success.
Yeah. Or
I like I'd rather be lucky than good.
Yeah. Dude, how about when you're sitting there in the bullpen and you hear that the number 1 guy on the other side of the bracket got knocked out by like the number 9 or 10. You're like, oh shit.
Yeah. But in jiu-jitsu, you're like, that's just because that guy never competed. That's why he's number 10.
Yeah.
But
he's a bad
But he's actually like the baddest really motherfucker good, on there. Yeah.
That's very true, man. Yeah.
Like the rankings are just, all that means is you compete a lot.
Yeah, that's it.
Often, right?
Yeah.
That doesn't necessarily mean they're the best.
Yeah, but you got to score points. You got to podium.
Sure. Yeah, that's true. But sometimes, especially as you get into the Masters divisions, sometimes that is just showing up.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you show up to 10 tournaments and there's only 2 people in each one of those tournaments, and you lose every match you have ever done,
still scoring points.
You still got a ton of points.
Yep.
There's a little bit of luck in there, but like obviously most of the time, the guy who's number one is probably fucking good.
Yeah. I'm excited for Ramsey this year. I think he's rolling at that level.
He's getting better.
Yeah. I think he's rolling at that level.
I think, I mean, not to like toot my own horn, but I think it's like him being around or training with a lot more like colored belts. Cause like when he had his own school, it was a lot of white belts.
Yeah.
And like there was a handful of colored belts that like, I transferred in, but like, I mean, Ramsey gets to roll with like a lot. And at Paul's school, he has a lot of people that are his size that are also black belts.
Yeah.
So Ramsey's definitely, he's got it on.
He's got it. Yeah.
He's got all the odds right now.
He's doing well.
Yeah.
All right. Next question.
It's something I wanted to mention. Just touching
no
on
one cares.
I know.
Shut up, Blue Belt. For fuck's sake.
No, I was going to touch on that like what you mentioned about like if you just focus on the process. So like after I think this like again touching back to like why we lose blue belts, blue belt blues, all that stuff. Like when I got my blue belt, I definitely experienced that feeling of just like you get your blue belt and it's a huge deal, and then you look up at the rest of the mountain that you have to climb to black belt, and you're like, what?
That rock climbing thing again?
To relate it to rock climbing, but you're just like shit. Like it's really overwhelming. And the decision I made, and like the decision that I made was like, I'm just gonna keep showing up.
Ring the bell.
Yeah, ring the bell.
Where's that dumbwaiter? I thought we were talking about putting a dumbwaiter.
Like right here. Yeah, there is a closet. But the decision that I made was like, I'm just like, this is a lifelong pursuit for me, and I made that decision kind of early on. But like, so I'll have times where I just don't fucking feel like training. Like I just don't. Like I don't have it in me, and I'm like, all right, I have two options. I can just push through and show up anyways, or I could just take today off and realize that I'm going to be doing this for the next, I mean, hopefully 50, 60 years.
Yeah.
If I miss today, it's okay.
Yeah.
Now, one thing that comes with that, though, and I'm curious how you guys have dealt with this, if you've experienced it, is for me, once I get to like a week of not training consistently, maybe two, I get a certain anxiety that starts to build up of just like, fuck, now when I go back to class, I'm going to be
What's it like to take a week off?
I don't know. I go on
Maybe
vacation.
You don't know.
Yeah. I pack geese on vacation. So I don't know what you're talking about.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, maybe I'm in the wrong room for this. But I do think that like when you take that time off, because people do take time off. That's like that.
I used to after every tournament, I would like take the next week off, or like maybe like the first like half of the week, and I'll come back like Thursday or Friday or something.
Yeah.
I trained Friday. I competed on Thursday.
Right.
Yeah.
But like if you're experiencing that anxiety, like, so for me, the way that I found is like when I feel that anxiety build up, I just go to class.
Yeah,
I just
go to class.
fucking rip the Band-Aid off. I'm like, it might suck. It's probably just going to be everything that I enjoy, and it's actually going to be really fun. I'm gonna be glad I went, but I just ripped the Band-Aid off. But what do you guys recommend? Because I can tell you, maybe you don't experience it, but I can 100% tell you
I frame it
that it
differently
happens
in my head. Like, so like there's days where you're there to train hard, and there's days that you're training your head game hard. Like those days where I'm like, I just want to fucking watch YouTube tonight or whatever, or watch Netflix or whatever, and stay in bed and not fucking show to class. It's really right.
It is every day.
It's almost every day, right? You're just like, fuck this. I don't want to go train. But like, you're like, the more decisions where you like let that win, the easier it's going to be to let that win.
Yeah.
So it's like, all right, you know what? Today I'm gonna show up. I'm not there to train necessarily hard, but I'm there to beat my lazy ass self that wants to stay in bed and watch TV.
Yeah. You'll never regret a training night.
Mostly.
No, you won't regret them. I mean,
get hurt.
you will regret the nights you didn't show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some training sessions I can tell you off the top of my head that I regret not showing up to.
Mm-hmm.
But for the most part, if you show up, you're gonna feel better.
Yeah.
About yourself, about everything. I don't know, man. It just fucking helps.
Well, for all the people out there that might be experiencing this anxiety, if you miss a week or you miss 2 weeks, I can tell you that like I went through it recently. Like the best thing to do is just show up. Just show up to class. And yes, it might suck, but I promise you that what I've experienced is like if you're training consistently, you take a week off, you snap back fast.
Yeah.
You don't think you're going to. The first class is going to suck, but by the second class, so like what I did recently is I got lazy with my training, so I went Sunday, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And by Wednesday, I was back. I was ready to go. And I went through Friday. I wasn't even tired at the end of Coach Steve's 11:30, which is exhausting.
Yeah.
So it does come back really fast, just for all the people at my level who might experience that anxiety.
So Steve does a lot of mobility stuff for warm-ups, and it's a lot. He does a lot.
It's intense.
Yeah. So
well, but it's also that. But his Friday classes, when he does Fun Friday, he does no mobility and stretching, and then it's just jiu-jitsu ass beatings for an hour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I said the other day, I was like, well, either my knee's getting better or like my tolerance for pain has gone up. And he's like, or maybe you've done enough mobility in this class that it's helping your knee. I was like, nah, that's not it.
That can't be it.
That can't be it.
I love that guy. What a good find. What a great find, dude.
Yeah, that was interesting. Because that was like the month that I lost like 6 coaches.
Yeah.
In 30 days.
That was during the hell period. That was so bad, dude.
But I'm so glad it happened because we're in such a better place.
Yeah.
But I was sitting.
You still have Colin though.
Yeah, I know. We
Can't get rid of me.
One day he'll quit.
Yeah, he grows on you though, like mold. He grows on you.
Like herpes.
Like herpes.
He just doesn't go away. He just always comes back.
That's syphilis, herpes.
Yeah. So yeah, I was. It was after a seminar or something at Paul's, and we were having drinks at Boulders, and I said, "Hey, you guys know anybody that would want to teach like an 11:30 time slot?" And like almost in unison, John, Kray, and Paul were like, "Oh, call Kettlebell Steve." I was like, "You think he'll do it?" It's like, "Yeah." So called him, had coffee with
hey,
him.
Kettlebell.
Yeah, yeah,
That's his first name.
yeah. That's what we thought.
Yeah, I didn't know.
No, first name Kettle, middle name Bell.
Now it's Sandbag Steve.
Yeah, Sandbag Steve. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, and had coffee with him, and I knew he was a guy like 5 minutes.
He's
in.
another guy. He's just passionate about the sport.
He's passionate about a lot of things.
Sure.
Well, and he just like he's a good leader. He's a great leader, and he sets a really good example for people in the classes just by the way that he lives his life.
Yeah.
And I think that's like really valuable.
It's important.
Super important.
Yeah. Let me get you guys another drink.
Sweet. Amy!
That's exactly what's gonna happen.
But it's nice when like the coach. I think as a coach, one of the things that like increases the pressure of being a coach is like it's important to lead, and not necessarily lead as in being a coach, but lead as in by example.
Right.
Like so like I told you how I trained this Friday, which was like literally the day after I competed. I was like, we got home early. Like Ramsey and I woke up at like 6:30. We looked at each other. I'm like, you got anything you want to do in Vegas? I'm like, nope. So we both just got ready, got packed up, got in a car, and like left at like we were out of the hotel at like 7:30. Right.
Leaving Vegas is my favorite part of Vegas.
Me too. Fucking
Yeah.
And we were talking about it's like everything is sticky.
Yeah.
Everything is sticky in
And
Vegas.
gross.
It's sticky or dirty or dirty.
Yeah.
But it's like, and then I sent up, I posted like the picture like after I trained on Friday night at your guys' school.
Thanks, babe. Nah, we're good. I think. You need something?
I'm good.
Good to go. Thank you.
Thank you.
But I posted that picture, and then like Joey messaged me. He's like, dude, honestly, like he's like, it's really cool to see that you're like, you just got right back into it. Like after a tournament, you're just like, oh, training again. It's like, it's you got to lead by example, right? If you're not going to lead by that example, then you're going to have
Just a little halvesy.
All right. I came to fucking party.
Yeah,
what are you
let's go.
talking about? I've been prepping. I'm hydrated.
Yeah, he Ubered here.
I Ubered here. I ate fucking eggs and sausage for a late lunch. I'm ready to go.
Oh my god.
I got to train at 6 a.m. tomorrow. Let's go, baby.
Let's go.
That's funny.
But you know what I mean? Like, so
right.
Alex, we were talking about kind
That's
of
a lot.
like
Cheers.
basically leading by example as
Yeah.
being a coach or whatever.
For sure.
Which it sucks sometimes because it puts that extra, like being a coach is, there's like a lot of extra pressure that a lot of people don't realize. It's like, you're also a mentor now,
Yeah.
you know?
Well, Dave Blau and I were talking about that, and he's like, man, he goes, you keep yourself in really good shape, man. Good for you. And he goes, owning a gym's like a blessing and a curse because you can't let yourself get all flabby.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because walk through the door and you see somebody like fat, out of shape.
You're like, next school.
Yeah.
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 If I'd met you and you were over, like, you weren't living what you were preaching, I wouldn't have.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have believed
Makes
a
a
word you
difference,
said.
right? Yeah.
I like that because I like need the external like motivations.
Yeah.
Like it, for like cutting weight and stuff like that. Like if I don't have a tournament signed up, I'm like, oh, what the fuck's the point?
And and I also love when my students are like, I tell my friends about coming in here, and there's this like 50-year-old guy that just whips my ass. I'm like 51, but I think that's a great compliment. You know what I mean? That I think that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. What's the next question?
Yeah. Next question.
Sorry.
Steven, what are you doing over there?
You caught me mid-rip, baby.
Cream
Who wants
pies?
some?
Cream pies over there?
He's
Cream pies and joints. Who wants
he's
some?
smoking crack or something. I don't know what he's doing.
Is it already got a little in it?
Yeah, it's just smoke a toke or sneak a toke.
I'm waiting for the heroin.
This isn't heroin?
Yeah. Just a little H.
All right, hold on.
Or the nose beers.
Nose beers. Nose beers.
Anyone else?
No, thank you.
I got to reload it. But...
Yeah, good.
All right, hold on. It's coming. I got to pull it up. Someone make something up to fill the gap. Jesus, it's just us smoking weed right
how about hurry the fuck up, Steven?
Yeah, you have one job.
You're the blue belt.
Who is this guy?
Okay. Fun one touching on, you mentioned Keenan Cornelius earlier. Slow Roller asks, what happened to Keenan Cornelius?
That was their question. Why are they asking us?
Well, Keenan is probably one of the most successful guys you don't hear about. He's very quiet, owns an incredible academy.
Mm-hmm.
He was a
Well, he's not a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu practitioner anymore.
No, he's an American Jiu-Jitsu practitioner.
Jiu-Jitsu.
What the fuck is the difference?
Well, what even is Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu?
You're going to have to ask Keenan that question.
Okay.
But Keenan came up in an era where it didn't really pay to be him in finals matches in IBJJF. That's all I'll say about that.
I'm good.
That's my fucking chair, bro.
Yeah, bro.
You're gonna
Should have had the shitty chair.
You're gonna
Lawsuit.
be sitting in a fucking
Lawsuit.
Yeah, bullshit. But Keenan is probably one of the best guys of the early 2000s.
Mm-hmm. Honestly, like, he's not gone.
No,
Like, because if you go to
he's 100% relevant.
he has his website.
He's making a big internet presence.
And he
again.
teaches
Again.
really good technique. Like, it's a lot like what's the AOJ one called?
AOJ Plus.
Is it, I thought it was on demand or something.
It's AOJ Plus.
Plus, yeah.
Yeah.
It's so
fucking good. It's so good.
It's so good. And honestly, Keenan Cornelius' stuff is like, they're a lot on the same level because like Keenan Cornelius is a lot of more unorthodox kind of techniques. AOJ is like the cutting edge technical techniques.
Yeah,
but
however, I think like when you think of like innovators, right? I think of like 10th Planet guy. What the hell's his name?
Eddie Bravo.
Eddie Bravo.
It's hard not to throw Keenan Cornelius.
It's
in
really hard because you got, for me, it's like Hicks and Gracie kind of really combined that athleticism and the fighting spirit and the grappling. I mean, undeniable, one of the best grapplers that's ever walked the earth. And Gordon Ryan is by far the best today, but he's not an innovator, right? So Eddie Bravo, he invented a whole new system that basically was like shit that was like already existed, but he just kind of tweaked and called it something different. But he made it cool to not wear a gi.
Yeah.
Right?
That's true.
Yeah. And
But
then
he also like he created this whole system that just doesn't work.
it does work because he's proven that it works at the highest level.
I'm going to tag him in that clip.
Yeah,
We're
no,
already
at the
coaching.
highest level, he's proven. But I think Keenan Cornelius is also one of those innovators with his the work that he did with the lapels, and he would just there. People didn't have a counter to what he was doing because it didn't exist.
Yeah.
It's like new math, right? It's like he was doing new math, right? And that's what I love about the guy. He's, I don't know, man. If there was I think, is he still Alliance? He was.
No, he's his own thing.
He's his own thing.
Yeah. He's his own thing.
Yeah. And that's another thing. Like, he opened a gigantic school, like took it on as his own brand, and it's doing
Legion.
well.
Legion.
Yeah, Legion. He's doing well, man. I mean,
He didn't go anywhere. He's just not.
yeah,
not
to
as
answer the
competitive.
question, he has not gone anywhere.
He's just
Yeah.
not competing. It's like if you're not paying, if you think he's gone, you're not really paying attention.
Right.
Because like honestly, like if you want to be good these days, you kind of have to be studying. If you're not studying jiu-jitsu, like you're not really going to be progressing as quickly as you could be.
Yeah.
And if you're not studying, if you are studying, you know Keenan Cornelius is still out there sharing stuff. Like,
Absolutely.
He's a good follow. Like
Yeah. Great follow.
he's
Pretty sure we follow him.
Yeah, he's got that old school foundation with, like you said, innovation. Like it's just he's.
But I pigeonholed him a little bit with like saying that like he's all like, you know, unorthodox stuff. His website still shows like standard stuff too.
Oh,
that's
absolutely.
Like, and really good high level stuff that might be like he might be teaching it in a way that might ring true to you. So like there's lots of ways you can teach how to do like, you know, a scissor sweep like you were talking about. But someone might teach it in a way that actually clicks with you. It's like just because you know a technique doesn't mean you can't still learn that technique from someone else.
Yeah.
Like because you might increase your success rate. Right. So it's just like, look at that stuff. Same with the AOJ thing. I was saying that like, oh, he's cutting edge technical stuff
100%.
a lot, but he'll also teach you a scissor sweep.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you'll be like, holy shit, that's how I should be doing scissor sweeps. Like their website is awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. And if Keenan has like an whatever, blah, blah, blah online, it will pay dividends. If you're like a jiu-jitsu nerd that wants to study, that is the
money
one
well spent on either of those.
Yeah, that is AOJ. Keenan is another one. There's several, but those are the two that come to mind. That like, if you're going to spend money, that's money well spent.
Yeah, and there's lots of stuff on BJJ Fanatics, and like almost always there's like a 50% off deal. Yeah. But like, invest in your jiu-jitsu. There's nothing wrong with that. Like, yeah, it is. It seems expensive because especially when you're talking, you're paying like $200 a month for tuition, right? Right. But if you want to, if you're really passionate about it, like you're going to spend $200 on a gi next year.
Yep.
Or in a couple of months or whatever, or maybe, 2 times a year or whatever. Like you're spending all this money on other things. Those are consumables. Getting a seminar, or like basically that's what, like these instructionals are, is like mini seminars that you get to pay for, but those pay out so well if you study them. Some are bad. Find the ones that are really good. Like talk to your friends who like are really into that stuff, and they'll tell you like Sierra has like 1,000 things downloaded. Ramsey has like 1,000 things downloaded, and they'll tell you like this one was good, this one was meh.
Yeah,
Some of them are good, and it's not always like, oh, this guy's really good, so his seminar is going to be really good, or his instructional is going to be really good. That's not necessarily the case.
Agreed.
But it's definitely still worth. A lot of them are worth their weight in gold, and some of them aren't. But talk to people.
Yeah,
definitely worth investing in your technique.
Best instructional you've ever seen, or that you've ever like. What's your favorite?
Basically anything with Hoffa Mendes in it. Some of them, like I said, some are good, some are bad. I've never seen anything bad come from Hoffa Mendes. Like if you see Hoffa Mendes as the instructional, you're gonna learn something.
Yeah.
His way of teaching is just so precise, and it's concise. Also, like if you watch like a John Danaher one, you have to put that thing at like 10 times speed because he talks. He talks and talks and talks. It's like
fast forward 15 minutes to get to the technique.
He wants to tell you the
philosophy of this.
Hey,
he's like, what is a grip?
Let's pause real quick. Can you shut that camera off and restart it? Because we lost it like 10 minutes ago and it still hasn't come on.
Yeah, but that's one that points at you, so no one cares.
Yeah, I know.
This one?
Yeah.
Cream pie.
Now's the time.
Yeah, stop right there.
Oh, you know what? I'm going to piss. Ha! Now's the time. Yep, we're going to take a break.
Well, we don't need you.
Did you shut it off and restart it?
I just...
Okay, there we go. There we go. Just
Good?
leave it.
Okay.
Just leave it. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, like, honestly, like, he's one of those guys that just doesn't put out bad material.
Yeah. There we go. Much better.
Except for you're on it.
Well, there's that.
Yeah.
There's that. No,
I have a couple of Keenan Cornelius ones that are fucking awesome.
Yeah, he's
His
so
stuff
good,
is
man.
Too.
I really like that video. There's a video of like when he was coming up beating the Meow Brothers. You ever seen that video? It's like a motivational video. And at purple belt, he's whipping their ass in the open, and then at brown belt, he's whipping their ass, and then at black belt, I think it was Zhao that finally beat him.
Yeah.
It was so cool. It was such a good video. But Keenan, like, he was always very gracious in like victory or defeat. You know, he wasn't a dick. So I thought that was really cool.
A really cool one that I think a lot of people should check out is Adam Wierzinski's stuff. His butterfly guard and his John Wayne sweep videos.
Is that the redhead guy?
He's the I think he's Polish technically, but he's
okay.
like, he looks like a Viking.
Yeah.
He just won Worlds this year.
Okay.
Yeah, but his like. The reason I like his stuff is because he plays a very fundamental game. He plays like that butterfly, sit-up guard position, half guard stuff. Like it's nothing groundbreaking.
Yeah.
He's just so good at it.
Yeah.
And Ramsey was telling me like he was watching his John Wayne sweep. He's like, he just teaches it a little bit different, and it like helps. Like it's not anything he doesn't already do. It just kind of like helps increase your percentage a little bit. And sometimes that's all you need. It's like another 5 or 10%. Hell yeah. I'll take it.
I think Andrew Gardner hits a sweep also.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people do. It's such a good sweep. Because it's just like one of those ones where you're like, it's coming, but they still get you.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, and I don't understand why people don't buy those, like the BJJ Fanatics videos, shit like that, man. It just helps so much.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're into studying, right? I mean,
Some people
don't say-
aren't. I mean, there's a lot of free shit on YouTube too, where it's
There's
like
great
clips
stuff.
from those,
Yeah.
and it's like whatever. Like if you're stuck in a position, like we always kind of like clown on people who are like, oh, YouTube Jiu-Jitsu, but like if you're like, I keep getting my half guard passed, you can look up like half guard recovery or something like that, or guard retention or something like that. Like you can find videos on YouTube for free
Yeah.
that will help you. Like, yeah, if you're looking at like this, like, oh, look at this guy, he's bowling from the top, and
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, there's a lot of silly shit on there that like probably isn't in. Like if you're a white belt coming up, it's like, yeah, you should probably avoid that stuff.
Right.
Like you should probably be focusing on like, well, I mean, at this point, De La Riva is a fundamental guard. Like,
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
how to maintain De La Riva, how to sweep, basic sweep from De La Riva,
Yeah.
you know, like that kind of stuff. Like that's super important. You can't ever be too good at the fundamentals.
Agreed.
So like look up fundamental stuff, and like maybe your coach, like with scissor sweep, right? We already talked about this 1,000 times. Like the way you teach a scissor sweep might be a little different than the way Hoffa Mendes teaches it, or Keenan
Yeah.
Cornelius, or
Yeah.
Gordon Ryan, or whoever. And it's like you watch the same technique from 5 different people, and like maybe that 5th person is the one that clicks with you that
Yeah.
makes this work for you.
Yeah.
They explain something just a little bit differently. So like don't ever think that like you have something figured out, because even when you do, you can always be better at it.
You never have it figured out.
Right.
Yeah.
But I was Ramsey and I were talking about this today. I was like, I'm confident with my John Wayne sweep. Like
Yeah.
I love that sweep.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite sweeps. Ramsey's so much better at it than I
Yeah.
am, though.
He's really good.
His timing on it is perfect.
Yeah.
I think. And he's like, yeah, but I watched the Adam Wojcinski video and it helped increase my percentage. And
Wow.
It's like, and it's just
Yeah.
like there's so many different levels. Even if you think you got it figured out, you can still get better at it.
Yeah. Agreed. All right. Next question.
Ready for another one?
Yeah.
I don't get to say my favorite.
Yes.
We don't
Please.
care.
No,
All
go
right.
ahead. Go ahead.
Dean Lister's intro to leg locks.
Ooh,
Okay.
Yeah.
It's very basic.
Yeah.
And that's what you need. Like you see a lot of
Does he go over cranking them after the ref says to stop?
that's Paul Harris.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's
Right.
that's definitely Paul Harris.
He doesn't go over his new one that he's showing. It's the hobbler, which is a combination of a toe hold and a calf slicer.
Ooh.
That's nice. But like his intro to leg locks, it's the first 45 minutes is ankle lock, you know, and it's like
nice.
It's nothing fancy, but it's small details that you wouldn't even think
That's
of.
how I survived white belt. 'Cause I
So
couldn't
you know
pass
we
guard.
can get him right for a seminar. He's here every November.
A Movember seminar,
his fam-
perhaps?
Did you mean a Movember?
No,
Yeah.
him
Could
Movember.
we
That's right.
perhaps donate the proceeds to Men's Health?
I actually got. Yeah, we probably could.
He did a lot of stuff in Milwaukee right after I left. He's
Yeah.
All right.
by
I'll take
far
care
my
of this.
Yeah.
I got this.
my favorite grappler.
Yeah, I actually I met his sister at a. We were doing a crawfish boil at a buddy's
it Dina?
place. No, it's Rachel, and yeah. So we were talking to her, and she mentioned my brother Dean or something like does jiu-jitsu, and we're like, wait, what? And she called him on speaker, and she's like, yeah, this is him. Hey, how's it going, guys? Holy shit! But he comes here in November to be with his family. Yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah, he does seminars.
I had a friend,
Plan.
his
on the podcast. Why?
I hope, yeah, someday.
kind of on that story. My friend of mine, his mom was the assistant team doctor to the Phoenix Coyotes.
Oh, okay.
And jokingly, I said one time when the Blackhawks were in town, I'm like, "Can you get me tickets?" And she said, "Oh yeah, my wife actually knows Duncan Keith." I'm like, What's the rest of that sentence? Like, Duncan Keith was the captain of the Blackhawks. I'm
Gotcha.
like, what's the rest of that sentence? It's like, no, through work she knows. I'm like,
Oh, wow.
that's so cool.
I used to
Yeah.
know this girl who did like wardrobe for the guys, some of the guys from the Blackhawks, which apparently is a thing because they don't know how to dress themselves.
Well, they're Canadian.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Wow.
And they're athletes.
They all just want to wear denim.
Yeah. There's something about Canada.
But like this
Yeah.
was literally her job, was like picking out outfits for them, because when they go out to make their public appearances, they're like, I don't know how to fucking dress for this thing.
That was one of the best trash talking. Red's first fight was against a guy from Canada, and you know how they do the intros. He said, "This guy's got great stand up. He's a wrestler. He's got great submission defense. The only weakness I see is that he's Canadian."
Oh my gosh.
All right.
That's
All right. What's the next one?
What's
All
the
right,
next question?
we have one last question again from Melissa Christine.
Okay.
Whoa.
I had to drink some water. Josh, cut that out. That's gross. Episode 99. From episode 99, self-belief and helping out our themes. How do you and how can I help others like that?
Set an example.
Don't worry
So,
about it.
especially with like women's jiu-jitsu today, I think the women that live like without excuses and just show up
Yeah.
and put it out there and, you know, compete and do all that stuff, I think they're setting the best example. I think the worst thing you can do is complain about what you don't have, because women's jiu-jitsu, I believe, is where men's jiu-jitsu was 10 years ago, where, you know, a little bit older grapplers couldn't find matches. Master Worlds was brackets of 4. Now they're brackets of 35. So the people that were fighting in those brackets of 4 going to Vegas to do maybe one match if they're lucky, right? They paved the way for people like me who are now getting 35 people in a bracket. And I think I don't want to say it's their duty, but I think they'd be doing a disservice to women if they stopped because of their limited, the limited amount of opponents that they're getting. I think the women today are doing what women in 2016 did, where right before Pan Ams, the women said, hey, we want more age groups, because they had 2. And they were getting piled in. You had 50-year-old women fighting, 35-year-old women. Not fair, right? So the IBJJF was saying, no, well, you're going to have too few people in your brackets. They're like, cool, we'll fill them. And they did, right? So I think the women today have a great opportunity to be those, to pave the way for, the kids that are coming up now. So set the example. Show what it is to be a hard worker, because those little girls are watching you.
Yeah. This kind of comes into like the kind of listen to the haters, because what are the haters saying? Like, oh, you guys can't fill the brackets,
Right. Yep.
and then you say, fuck you. Yeah, we can. And then do it. Is it, like you said, live by example.
By example. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think if there's a tournament coming up, throw your name out there. Don't wait for another person to sign up first. Be first. So I don't look at brackets. I just throw my name out there, and then I look at it the week before when I can make a change. And if there's nobody in my age group, I go up. Or if there's nobody my age group, I go down. If there's nobody in my weight class, I go up. Just the way it is, man.
I think that's kind of like that whole thing kind of builds off of like what actually being a leader is. It's like, do the thing that you know is right, even though you don't want to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like none of us want to cut weight and do every single tournament or whatever, or try to do as much as you can, like you fit in your schedule. But it's like the more you do, the more that your students are going to see that, and they look up to you. So they're going to be like, hey, well, if coach is going to do this tournament, why don't? Yeah, I'm going to do it.
Well, even when I wasn't a coach, when I was just a lowly blue belt, I didn't know this at the time, but people were watching what I was doing. Like, man, I see you in here almost every day, and you're traveling to compete. You're doing this, you're doing that. It kind of helped me. It kind of made it okay for me to do it too.
Yeah.
I didn't know they were watching. I was just doing it for myself.
Yeah, you remember the people like when you're like, it's kind of like growing up, right? When you're a white belt, like the people that like are your superiors, quote unquote, right?
Yeah.
The guys who are like blue belts or purple belts at the time, or even because you and I didn't have brown and black belts that were at the school. We had blue and purple belts.
Yep.
But it was like Jose Bufanda, Aaron Wilson, obviously, right? We had like all these
Dave
guys.
Barnes, all those
Dave
guys.
Barnes, like obviously Paul.
Yep.
But like it's almost like especially like when you're talking to like to a white belt, a black belt's almost like seems unobtainable.
Yeah.
Right. So you're like, they're a mentor, but sometimes that black belt is like, that's like, that's a godly person, right? Like that's way beyond me, right?
Trust me, it's not.
It's not. You and I know
trust
that.
me.
You and I know that.
Yeah.
But the white belt sees that person and they're like, that person is beyond what I could become.
Well, because like when we tell war stories, it's like, holy shit, there's a lot of shit that goes into this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like injuries, you blew out your knee, my groin injury, my 2 knee injuries, broke my foot 3 times.
Yeah.
There's a lot of shit you go through to get that black belt.
Yeah. And no one wants to hear that. Like I always tell people, I'm like, all right, here's the thing. Like we do everything we can to mitigate injury, but the reality is it's a combat sport, and it's not if you're going to get hurt, it's when you're going to get hurt.
And how bad.
Yeah. Like, cause I don't know a black belt who doesn't have some sort of injury, but they all, the one thing that all the black belts who have injuries have in common is we got fucking through it, right? Everyone gets through your injuries. And like, I remember when I popped my knee, like I was super fucking upset. Like I was just talking to Aaron about this the other day. I was like, I don't want to talk to anybody. Like I literally like I got, they iced my knee, and I basically like left the venue, and I just like kind of walked around the building, which like I hobbled around the building, right? Because like I was just like, this is fucking over. Like, and that's you kind of like have that like mentality when like, or some people do. I did.
Were you feeling in that moment like I'm done, I can't train anymore? Or
yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, I was like it's knee injury is one of the more catastrophic injuries you can have in jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
Right. It's one of those ones.
Knee and shoulder.
They're like where they basically require surgery, and if you don't, you're never gonna really be 100%.
Yeah.
And I remember, like I just left the venue and I walked around, and I'm like, I didn't want to see, because everyone wants to be like, oh, what happened? You know, everyone wants to talk to you, and you're like, I just don't want to fucking talk to anybody.
Not at this time.
Right. Yeah, and it's not the time, right?
Yeah.
But like you get around, and I remember like even like building up to it, and I was like, I remember talking to Aaron Wilson specifically. I was talking to him about it, and like, so I fully ruptured my LCL, and they say I need surgery. There's no getting around it. If it's fully ruptured, there's no getting around it. You need surgery. There's no amount of PT that's going to make your LCL reconnect itself, right?
Yeah.
Or any ligament for that matter, right? And he's like, you have ligaments for a reason. Like if you need to get it repaired, like otherwise you're never going to be 100%. And that's the reality of it. And it sucks. Like I hope some people don't ever have to deal with it.
Yeah.
The reality is a lot of us will.
Yeah.
You know, whether it's LCL, MCL, ACL, you know, your
shoulder,
what's it called? Rotator cuff, labrum,
Achilles.
meniscus. There's
Neck.
so many things.
Yeah.
There's so many things in your body, and that's like the whole point of jiu-jitsu in a broad like view is like you're trying to hurt your partner, but you're not in a controlled way, right?
Yeah. You know, and the thing with me, like when I hurt my knee, my first knee injury was my LCL, and thank God it was a partial tear, so it was a lot of PT stuff like that. But when I hurt my knees, you know, meniscus tear, I always looked at it a little bit differently. Like I looked at it like, okay, there's going to be a fucking great story to tell. I'm excited to see who I am on the other side of this injury. Easier said than done, right? Because 100%. Like as you're going through it, your friends are still going to class, and you know you're sitting there getting fat, you know, and you can't train, you can't do anything because number one, the risk of infection is very real.
Yeah.
Right. So you got to be careful. You can't be stupid. And then once you get past that risk of infection, jiu-jitsu guys are like, well, I can go on the mat, right? I mean, the scars are healed up. And then you do one freaking squat or one little knee bend, and you're like, oh no, I think I fucked my shit up again. You know what I mean? And it's those little things that mess with your brain. It takes a long time to trust your knee again, trust your shoulder, trust your neck.
Oh, the mental recovery is way worse.
So hard.
Way worse.
It's so hard, man. It's just
and like having a good PT is key. Anybody who's like, oh, I don't need to go to PT, you're a fucking idiot.
You're an idiot. Yeah.
That's the reality of it. You're a fucking idiot. Like I saw, I was going to control physical therapy with Greg, but that doesn't, he's a jiu-jitsu brown belt, right? So it's like cool to have like to go to a PT with a guy who trains.
Yeah.
But I mean, go to a PT and listen to your fucking PT. I've never met a PT who's like, you're never going to recover from this.
Yeah, right.
Right. Their job is to make you recover or help you recover. Right. And it's like, go to these people. Like their goal is your goal.
Yeah.
To recover.
Yeah.
Right. I've never met a PT who like was trying to like limit your recovery.
Yeah. So what I did after when I hurt my left knee, because I knew what I went through with my right. Right. And that sucked. But when somebody told me, I can't remember who it was, but they're like, man, once you get your knee scoped, because it was a meniscus, once you get your knee scoped, they're going to be going in there every couple of years and trying to clean it up and all that. So I rehabbed the hell out of my right knee, and I haven't had any issues with it. None. Zero.
Yeah.
You know, and they haven't had to go back in and none of that shit because I PT'd, like you said.
If you truly take care of it, which is like, honestly, it's a little bit of a privilege that a lot of us don't have.
Yeah.
Right. Like, I mean, you and I both, like, you know, had jobs or have jobs that like can pay for that kind of stuff. And a lot of people
Have insurance.
can't.
Yeah.
But again, I mean, what's more worth your money than your health?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Well, when my left knee went, you know, when I tore my left knee, I got Doc Z on the horn right away.
Already retired.
Yeah, I love the guy. Doc Zeman was the best. But I had Doc Z on the horn. I had Restore Health AZ. They were going to help me with PRP, and then I had Greg McClarty from Control. Yep. And I was like, "This is what's happening. This is my goal." And I said, "The end result I want to be ready for this tournament."
Yeah.
Full speed ahead.
And I think that's really important. Like, you know, you go to Greg, you know, Control, and he has, you know, jiu-jitsu background, so he knows. But if you don't have that, if you're in Dublin, where else do you have some listeners?
Italy,
South Africa.
South Africa.
Oh,
all over the continental
United States.
I know,
yeah.
and
At least Arizona.
Yeah. But I'm saying if you can't get to Greg at Control,
you should go to Greg.
You should, if you can't afford to fly over. But be very specific on what your goal is. Like, tell your physical therapist, I do jiu-jitsu. Like, I remember when I ruptured my Achilles as a purple belt, and their baseline goal is like, I want you to be able to walk.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I want to be able to have this strong enough when people start bending it that I'll be okay.
Yeah.
Like, that's my goal.
Yeah.
And so be very vocal and in your recovery, like what your goals are, especially, you know, because they just have a baseline of what they want to do.
Great advice.
And ours, you know,
well, don't be afraid to walk out of a physical therapist or an orthopedic surgeon who like doesn't get it.
Yeah.
Like, because if you tell, like, because a lot of, especially orthopedic surgeons, their goal is, like you said, just to get you to walk again. I'm like, that's cool, but I want more than that.
Yeah.
And if you got a guy who's just like, no, we're just going to get you to walk.
No, I flat out tell him. I'm an athlete.
Yeah.
I know I may not look it, but I'm an athlete, and I'm going to do the same shit I've been doing for years.
I would say probably the worst injury you could probably have as a jiu-jitsu grappler is an ACL rupture.
Yeah.
I know lots of people with ACL ruptures who are still competing at the highest level.
100%.
There is literally no reason for a doctor to tell you, forget that goal.
Yeah. No.
And if they do, walk right the fuck out.
Get another doctor.
There are practitioners who understand jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
Wherever you are. They're there. You just got to look for them.
Got to find them.
Take the time.
Yeah. And you know, it's really easy to say, like, well, this guy is smarter than I am,
Yes.
and this is his opinion, and maybe I should follow it.
Right.
Fuck that.
Sometimes they got an ego too, though.
Yeah.
I would say often they have an ego where they're just like, my opinion is the only good one you're going to get.
Oh,
Right.
Well, you know, fuck their ego. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah. And that's why, you know, one thing I loved about Doc Z is when I tore my LCL, you know how he does it? Like he just leaves you a message and you listen to it.
Yeah.
And I entered my code and I'm kind of holding my breath, and he's like, so you have a partial tear. It will heal. You got to see a physical therapist right away. You don't need surgery, and call me when you do.
If you can,
was it.
If you can find an orthopedic surgeon who wants to do anything but give you surgery, that's probably also a good sign too, because like they make their money off of doing surgery.
Yes.
And if they're like, well, I don't think you need surgery, well, that's a good indicator that he just wants you to get better.
Yeah. Yeah. He was
I
great.
questioned when I got, because I ruptured my Achilles. It took me about 4 days to go to the doctor, and I just went to urgent care. And they said, who drove you here? And I said, well, I did.
Yeah.
They're like, go to an orthopedic. And the orthopedic looked at my foot in the diagnostic. He's like, well, I can get you into surgery tomorrow. And I said, should I get a second opinion? And he just looked so frustrated. He's like, do this with your foot. I'm like, I can't. Your Achilles isn't attached to your foot.
Oh my God. You must have an incredible like pain tolerance, because I've heard that Achilles is like so painful.
One of the things, I got two theories on that. One is I had a
Hypothesis.
Hypothesize.
hypotheses.
that's what I said.
Sucks.
Theories
Some-
is also good.
Some-
Theory is not also good. It's only good if you're a fucking idiot.
Whoa!
Holy cow!
Wow!
I had a
God,
No,
Jesus.
get him back
No,
right now.
I'm-
Tell a
I'm
short
good.
joke.
No, yeah, it's okay.
I don't. But no, I had a. It actually.
Tell a short joke. That's so fucked up.
It had the Achilles pulled off part of my heel, but I had a growth, a bone growth on the back of my heel, and it almost like attached.
Hooked?
Yeah, so it was partially attached.
Oh
attached.
my god!
And then I also found out through like the 23andMe that I have more Neanderthal variants than 95% of the population, and one of the things is high pain tolerance.
Hey, look at me. This is a surprise face.
Not surprised.
Not surprised.
I believe that, bro.
What's your percentage Neanderthal?
50%.
No, it doesn't give you like percentage in Neanderthal,
Oh.
but I have more variants than 95% of the population in the world.
Wow!
Yeah.
Wow!
That's
Sounds
a
like
badass
percentage.
trait.
Sounds like
Yeah.
a percentage
Yeah.
to me, though. I'm just saying.
Okay, I'm 34% Neanderthal.
Which explains your friendship with your coyote.
True. Also, to our listeners in Dublin, I'm also 60% Irish. So, cheers.
Listen.
Fly me out.
Stop
You
it.
already said that. You said you're Neanderthal.
So Irish people,
Neander is from Germany.
Irish people would call you American.
Oh, for sure.
Just so you
Yeah.
know, you're not Irish.
I've
you're
always
American.
asked this: who do you think hates their American descendants, the Irish or the Italians?
Oh, that's a great question.
Like, do Irish hate Irish Americans more or less than Italians hate Italian Americans?
I think it. Oh fuck.
Wow.
Here's the reality. We don't give a fuck. We're America.
I will say with
Y'all speaking German if it wasn't for us.
You're welcome.
with July 4th coming up, I will say America is the best fucking country in the world.
Oh,
So
100%.
it's just-
Oh, you just
easy,
lost that one Irish guy.
So being Mexican,
just kidding.
we always say we don't like to consider ourselves. I mean, this is going to sound terrible. We don't like to consider ourselves Hispanic because we're still trying to be cool with the motherland. So we're Mexican, bro. We're like totally Mexican, not Hispanic. We're Mexican.
I thought you were Latinx.
No, we're not Latin. I want you to go to Brownsville, Texas, and use that term so you don't get the shit beat out of you.
Latinx.
Yeah, please have a camera on when you say Latinx, and they'll beat the fuck out of you.
Yeah.
And I'll laugh and laugh and laugh.
And drink my tequila while I'm mowing the lawn.
Oh my god, that caught me off guard. Oh, that was good. That was good. Is that all the questions?
That is all the viewer questions. I have another topic we can jump to though. I'm ready. So
Oh.
whatever you want.
Oh, what do you got?
Joel, just based upon what we were talking about. So, what is your scariest injury, and how did you overcome it?
God,
The
this sounds
scary-
like an interview, like when you're like trying to apply for a job.
The scariest.
Well, I just got to have those solid, questions just in
Shut the
case.
fuck up.
The scariest injuries have not ever happened to me. My scariest injuries is when I see a student get hurt. I always get this shit feel like I would rather it happen to me.
Right.
Yeah.
And
I
I've
always
had
feel like you failed, even though
Yeah.
there's nothing you could have done.
nothing you can do. But when you hear that student go down or you hear a pop, man, your heart just breaks because especially if it's somebody that just works so fucking hard. Just
And it
so
usually
fucking
is
hard.
those
Yeah.
Alva tweaked
Yeah.
his knee like 2 weeks before nationals, and I was like, "Oh fuck!
Yeah.
Tell me
you're
exactly what
okay.
happened."
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
What?
Well, Mike got his knee shredded at one point, and I was just like, there's just like this feeling in the pit of my stomach. Like,
Yeah.
what the fuck?
Little
Like, I was
homie,
mad.
not little homie, big homie, the fucking guy.
Dylan?
Is he the one that hurt his knee
Yeah.
that one night?
That broke my heart, man, because he was just coming back, first tournament back, and just a training session. And
Has he seen a doctor?
probably, I don't know. This guy's like, he's a different kind of cat, dude. Like, he will never.
He's
like-
really not though, because it's like, go fucking see a doctor.
No, I got to hit him up. Like whenever somebody gets injured in my academy, I usually call them,
Yeah,
and I call them from my personal number, and I just tell them, hey, this is my personal cell number. Call me if you need anything.
yeah.
Because I don't know, man. It's one of those things. Like, I don't wish that upon anybody. And when my students get hurt, it breaks my heart, man.
Yeah.
It just breaks my heart. So
Yeah,
it
I
is-
mean,
is
I
what
think
it
it
is.
helps. Again, this is like the leading by example thing. It's like you and I have had injuries.
Mm-hmm.
It's like it helped. Anytime I've ever been injured, nothing makes you feel better than talking to somebody who's had injuries and they got through it.
Yeah.
So it's like making yourself available is like one of the best things in the world you can
Yeah.
do, even if it doesn't seem like it at the time. Like I talked to Josh Rodriguez. He was actually the one who actually said, "Hey, you need to talk to Greg McClarty."
Yeah.
And I was like, I remember I was like I told you, I was in a bad place. Like I was like, I'm never going to be able to fucking train again.
Yeah.
But I'm talking to Aaron Wilson, I'm talking to Josh Rodriguez, and they're all telling me go see Greg.
Yeah.
And it's like you need people who've had that experience to like tell you like it's going to be okay. You don't believe anybody. Like if you're like your girlfriend, your mom, your wife,
Right.
your husband, or whatever, it's like, oh, you're going to be fine, honey. It's like, but they don't fucking know.
They don't know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, like my foot injury, like they don't know that you can't push off.
Right.
Right. And pushing off is really important with your foot.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to see the, I'll have to show you, I think I have some video. I definitely have photos of San Jose Blue Belt, maybe 2016. I go to the medic and I'm like, hey man, I need you to tape up my foot. And he's like, yeah, no problem. And he goes, do you want it to move or do you want it to not move? I'm like, ish, like in between, you know, I want it to be stable, but I need to push off a little bit. And he's like, I'm like, what? He goes, I only have red tape. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? That's like a beacon, you know, but yeah, we taped it up in red tape.
That's when you say, get both of them.
Yeah, tape both of them. That's why,
Yeah, man. So
I would say coming back from my Achilles, being a leg lock guy, and a lot of people like to test their leg locks against me. It, you know, even though I got the clear from my doctor to say, yeah, you can go like train. If someone looked at my right foot, I said, you know, no, you're good.
Yeah.
You got it. You got me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, you know, it's funny.
It takes a minute, man. It takes a while.
It took me, I mean, even, you know, doing a shot, just the technique to do a, you know, a single leg, a double leg. I didn't have, it took me months to get that compliment. I'll admit it now on the podcast. I pulled guard as a wrestler, as a former wrestler. I pulled guard. For
you mean as an
time.
adult?
As a former wrestler slash rugby player, I pulled guard. Shame on you.
As you should.
Shame.
It means you wanted to initiate the jiu-jitsu as soon as possible.
Shame.
As opposed to wrestlers who want to avoid jiu-jitsu as much as possible.
Whoa, easy. Oh my God.
I know what I was going to say is like a funny thing I was just thinking about is like coming up that week before I actually popped my LCL. I was rolling with Matt Mamelin, and he was just like, I was like playing Del Hiva or something, and he like kind of like grabbed my ankle, like to kind of like that, like a steam lock / toe hold kind of position, and my ankle popped, and I was like, ooh, that was not a good pop. And Matt was like disgusted. He was like, oh my God. He like let go of my foot immediately and was like, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, feels fine. Just like the first time I popped my ankle. My other
Are you
foot.
talking about pickleball, Matt?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
Pickleball guy does?
Pickleball world champion. Yeah.
Yeah.
The pickleball guy does jiu-jitsu?
Yeah.
Used
Oh.
to.
Yeah.
Used to.
He's dedicated himself to pickleball.
But I remember like that was like the week of that tournament that I actually popped my LCL, which is really kind of fun. It wasn't the same foot or anything like that. But I remember like I was talking to Aaron. He's like, want me to tape your ankle? And he's like, but we'll have to get both of them, you know, because he was like talking about, it's like, you can't put
you can't do one. Yeah.
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 It's just like, it's like people are just going to like, oh, I'm going to grab that foot that's taped.
100%.
I've had a wrist that was really, it was like 75% healed, and I just taped the right one.
So in that San Jose tournament, I went against a guy. He was I think he was a Kyotera blue belt, but he was a local guy, super cool guy. Can't remember his name. I got a picture with him. He had a fucked up wrist and hand. His hand was fucked up. His thumb was fucked up, and my ankle was fucked up. So before the match, he's like, hey, I won't touch your ankle if you don't touch my hand. I like,
That's
deal. Yeah, he beat me.
So I wrist locked
we went
him.
hard. Yeah. No, we went hard, dude. It was one of those matches. It was like anybody could have won, but he came up like, I think he beat me by 2 points. And it was just like scramble. And at the end of the match, they raise his hand and he walks past his coach and he throws up in the trash can. Like, that was a good match. That was a really good match. Yeah, but those were the days where we had Masters 1 and 2. That's it for no-gi.
They had Masters 1 and Senior 1.
No, it was Masters 1 and 2, San Jose Open, and that was the no-gi day. They only had 1 and 2. Yeah, I think gi went up to like Masters 4 at the time. So I still had my
you
Masters
remember when
3.
it was Masters
and then Seniors,
and then Senior 1, Senior 2, Senior 3.
Yeah, Master Seniors Worlds.
And then you guys
Back
got
in
all
the day.
sensitive, so they had to have Masters 1, 2.
Senior just sounds terrible.
Didn't they used to have was that, I think that was Naga.
What?
Executive.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I never fought in Naga, so I don't know.
Okay. I want to say, It was masters and then executive.
No shit.
Yeah.
Executive sounds cool, man.
I don't want to say
It
it's
honestly
Naga.
it sounds like you're just completely making this up.
It sounds like pinkies up, bitches. Executive.
It's classy.
Yeah, it is classy.
What the fuck is Shackelford?
I don't know,
Nah,
man.
nah.
I'm ready to close out.
Yeah.
It's been about 3 hours. Fuck you
well.
guys.
Sorry, Shacky.
Oh my God.
What do you call him?
Rusty.
Rusty.
Rusty Shackelford.
Well, tequila's gone.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, mostly gone.
We got to do one more.
All right, one more for the
All right.
for the crowd.
One more for the crowd.
Well, congratulations on 100.
Dude, it's been fucking awesome.
Yeah, let's talk about. Well, we have a little bit of time.
We can take as much time as you want.
Yeah, let's talk about that for a little bit. Like
Hand me Rusty's
because we were talking about that. I remember you were like, there's like a percentage of podcasts that don't even make it past X episodes or whatever.
Yeah. Most podcasts don't make it past 25.
Right. And it's like, and you just were like, fuck it, I'm just gonna keep going.
Just keep going, man. Like we hit 25 and I'm like, okay, we're in the top tier, right?
Yeah.
We hit 50, we're like, fuck yeah, we beat those guys. And then 75, I'm like, holy shit, 75. And then we're hitting like 90 to 99 took forever because that was a time when shit was going crazy in my life. But I still wanted to get more shit out there. So I was like, anybody who wants to fucking talk, well, yeah, I'll talk to them.
Yeah.
And then
Then you realize that more people wanted to talk to you than you think.
right, yeah. Well, and then I Ryan, morning guy, purple belt.
Yeah.
He's like, he goes, hey, do you want to get Bernardo Faria on the podcast? I'm like, yes, please. And he's the one who set it up.
Yeah.
And
You're
then
like, why was that even in the form of a question?
yeah,
Like it should have been. I get you Tuesday at 4
yeah,
o'clock. You know,
yeah.
like-
So it was Bernardo, then Tom DeBlas, and then
That was
Henner
awesome.
Gracie, like back to back to back. And my DMs are blowing the fuck up. Like, how the fuck did you pull this off? I was like, I didn't. Like,
Yeah.
it's just it's a favor from a friend, and it worked out.
It's one
for
of those
me.
things. And correct me if I'm wrong, because obviously I don't have my own podcast. I'm just the co-host of.
You're not the co-host. You're just some guy I can't
of
get
the
rid of.
BJJ
Let him
Foxcast.
finish. It's co-host of Tojo and the Goon.
Tojo and the Goon. Tojo and the Goon.
But it's like if you want to, if your goal is like, oh, I'm going to make money at this, or I'm going to be on this forever, you're probably going to fail.
You're gonna fail. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because like we're in our second full year, and we've picked up 2 sponsors that are legitimate, like
Yeah.
that are trying to help us grow.
And like you said, you had some fucking heavy hitters.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Yeah,
So, I mean, who knows what next year will hold, man. But being able to say that I've had Gustavo Dantes, I forgot about him. He did 3 hours and 40 minutes. And by the way, we sat for another hour and talked.
That seemed like a.
Gustavo got drunk.
No, Gustavo did
kidding.
not get
I'm
drunk.
just
No, he
kidding.
did not.
I knew you were excited about that one because I know that he's your man crush.
He is my man crush. He's one of my man
But
crushes.
you're wearing a collared T-shirt or a collared shirt.
I had just come from the golf course.
So you say.
Gustavo's like, I'm not impressed.
I'm not impressed. Yeah, man. But you know what?
But you and I grew up with like, Gustavo's the man.
He is the man.
Yeah, and that's not to say he's not. I'm just saying like, that was
No, that was.
He was the guy. Like, well,
Yeah.
I mean,
especially in Arizona Jiu-Jitsu.
yeah, you had Gustavo and you had Megaton. But like Megaton was always like behind the scenes cool. You know, Gustavo was always out front.
Because
he was like
he's
the
more
leader.
traditional, doesn't
Yeah.
like expose
Yeah.
himself to
Yeah.
other than in competition, right?
Yeah.
But
And-
Gustavo was like really like at our eye level.
Yeah.
Because like of being part of Novignao.
Yeah. And we had access to him, but we didn't dare speak to him. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It was one of those guys.
Oh, I didn't care. I would talk to anybody.
Yeah. And then, then I asked him to be on my podcast like a year ago. And he's like, yeah, sure, man. And I was just so nervous. And I would tell him, like, because the way we came up with him, he's like the guy. And I'm like, I want to get better at it so I don't squander the opportunity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As that's what literally, I
Instead
had
of
his,
like fangirling, like, oh
yeah,
my God.
yeah. I had his mother-in-law on the show before I had him on the show. Okay. So
Who's
it
his
was like,
mother-in-law?
it's, her name's Barbara. And
Oh, that's right. That's
yeah,
right. Okay,
yeah.
I
So
remember that.
she's so cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, she asked if she had some topics she wanted to talk about. I'm like, fuck yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
So then she comes on the show. She's like, Gustavo lives like a mile from here, so it's not inconvenient for him to come on.
He
so.
has to listen to me.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. So I mean, but now when I talk to him, it's like, we start. I don't know, man. It's just like he's a cool dude. He's a cool dude, and he's like super inspiring, and he's super like
Yeah.
supportive. I really enjoy our conversations.
You know what's funny is, and you probably probably got a little bit of this. I like kind of like, I don't know, organically kind of figured this out just because I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
But like, even if you idolize somebody, like, there's not any reason that they won't talk to you or can't talk to you. Obviously, respect boundaries.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Right? Like, if they're out with dinner with their family, don't be like, hey, let me talk to you. Let me get a picture. But, like, if you see them, like, kind of organically, there's no reason you can't talk to somebody just because they're like, oh, this is a jiu-jitsu world champion or multiple-time world champion or whatever it is, right? So
what I loved about our conversation when he was on the show, because, like, when I think about, like, old school jiu-jitsu, I think about, like, the Tijuca, arena, the old school, like the green and yellow mats and, and it's like this iconic place to me in my brain. And I'm like, so what was it like competing there? It's like, it's a shithole. It smells like pee. And he's going on and on. I'm just laughing my ass off because in our brain, we make it bigger than it really is. Right. Yeah.
But I mean, you remember like when you and I started, it's like all the Gustavo tournaments were in high schools.
Yeah. Yeah.
We go to Westwood
High School and then Phoenix College. And I tell people, like, whoever complains about the, what do they call it now? Arizona Athletic.
Legacy Park.
Yeah, Legacy Park.
Yeah.
Whoever complains about that place can go fuck themselves because that place is awesome compared to Phoenix College.
Yeah.
Phoenix College, you were like this. Like, it was literally so tight because they could only do one side of the bleachers.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because the other side was so jam-packed, you could not put
otherwise there would be
bleachers
no
down.
way. Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it was, they had one cop there. Remember that poor cop that had to work those freaking things every time? And then, who was the lady at the front door? She sounded like Scottish or Irish. And she would do little stampy things.
I know God, what's her name?
I can't remember her name. Oh, gosh, it's going to haunt me.
Whatever.
But I would walk in, she's like, where's your wife? Like, I'm here. I'm here. Say hello to me.
They don't care about you.
Yeah, they don't care about me. Yeah.
But like, I mean, I loved those days because it was easy.
Yeah.
Easy because it was just like, you're just going to high school. They had the big parking lot.
Yep.
You didn't have to pay for parking, any of that stuff.
Yeah, I did.
I still don't pay for parking because fuck that.
Yeah, I did 2 tournaments at Westwood.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I one at Westwood, I mean, I think there was way more than that. There's a handful at Westwood. There was a handful at Mountain Vista, whatever the one, Awatuki High School was.
Never did that one.
I did one tournament there. I know they had Copabella there once or twice or who knows how many times. And then, it was Phoenix College. So all I remember.
Yeah. So when Tojo was a 4-stripe white belt, he did a tournament. The first tournament that I went to watch, he did it, I think. And he comes out and he's wearing a silver. He got bronze, and he was fucking everybody up, all the white belts up in the academy. So I'm like, how the fuck did you lose? Like, you know what I mean? Like, he's like, I don't know, it just happened. But yeah, that's when you were doing before your baseball bat choke. It was mostly ankle locks. When you were sitting back on the ankle.
I tell people all the time, it's like I didn't know how to pass guard, so I learned how to ankle lock. That's why all these Foot Lockers have such shitty games.
Yeah, yeah. Now they do.
Break my foot, I dare you. Jarrell, Madrid.
Oh my gosh, he'll fuck your foot up.
Yeah, I love scrapping with Drell because Drell's down to fucking bang. It's fun.
He's a great guy, man. I really miss that kid. I miss
having
him
on
around.
the podcast.
No, I probably should. Maybe
That'd
him
be
and
a fun
Lexi.
one.
Yeah, that'd be a fun one. Yeah.
Both of them?
Next week. I think it's next week.
By the way, we're not waiting for Shackelford at this point. Like, what the fuck?
Nah, Rusty,
no one cares. What are you even doing? Get over here.
Hey, buddy. Hey.
Don't care.
How are you?
We're going to close this podcast out here in a second.
Hi, buddy.
Are you really?
Yes.
He waved.
It's 3 hours and 4 minutes.
Let's go.
I forgot what we were talking about.
Lexi and
Lexi and Drew. Oh no, I was talking about next week.
Yeah.
Next week, I believe I'm gonna have Wadus and Greg.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Now that they're working together.
Yeah, now that they.
Yeah, now that they're married.
What's,
yeah, it's so sweet.
What's the unfair advantage?
Yeah, Unfair Advantage now has control physical therapy in their building. So
and that's in Tempe.
Yeah, Tempe.
Oh, nice.
I've never been to his location, so I don't know exactly where it's
so
at.
His location is really cool, but it was really small, and now he's expanded. And
Are you talking about Greg or Wadus?
both. So Wadus expanded and brought Greg in.
Okay.
Yeah. So Wadus has a great his facility is like top of the line. Like he has professional.
Crossroads?
It's like Price and Real Salado-ish, like
Okay,
just
okay,
south of Real Salado.
Yep.
But he's
That's
in
a
that
perfect location.
Yeah, he's in that industrial area. He has like professional athletes, college athletes, all kinds of stuff. And he trains like it's really diverse, man. Like he has like soccer players, tennis players, golfers, football players, baseball players. And I mean, he has, I don't want to say unorthodox because I don't know what the regular shit is, but he has a lot of different ways to train people. And now, like, he had a decent recovery room. Now it's really nice. It's
cool.
really nice. Yeah. So
Yeah, I know a lot of people go to him.
yeah. So I mean, if you're in the Tempe area, that's the spot you want to hit because you got physical therapy and you got amazing physical training there. And he hired a new guy. I think his name is Eric. Mm-hmm. So Wade has struggled because he would hire a guy, they wouldn't quite work out. He's like this. I believe his name is Eric. He says this guy is like almost like him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Committed.
Like,
in.
Yeah,
He's in.
Yeah, he's fully in. So
Yeah.
that's really cool. And the guy actually moved from out of state to work with Wadis. So the guy's committed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Or should be committed. Whatever.
Latest episode, insert here.
Huh?
He was on here, right?
Episode 7.
Was that long ago?
Mm-hmm.
Holy shit.
Episode 7. Yeah. Yeah, man. It was so much fun having him on the show, man. He's such a great guy.
Yeah.
So are we going to wait for Rusty Shackelford? Or are we gonna
Fuck it.
close
At
this
this
out?
point, he's gone.
All right, everybody. If you love the podcast or if you hate the podcast, please like and subscribe. Please follow us on all of the YouTubes, Facebooks, and Instagrams. We're not on TikTok. Our website sucks, and but that's getting fixed. Thank you guys. Appreciate you
Tojo
being
and the
on.
Goon coming soon.
Tojo and the Goon coming soon. Thank you for sitting through episode 100. We'll see you next time.
Let's go.
Yep.
This episode of the BJJ Foxcast is brought to you by BioPro. BioPro is an all-natural alternative to prescription human growth hormone, which aids in recovery, anti-aging, metabolism, libido, immunity, skin health, cognition, sleep, and stress. Just 1 vial per day provides a substantial boost to all of these growth factors. Okay, so that's what they want me to say. Here's what I know as an aging grappler. I've been using BioPro Plus and the nighttime variant, BioPro Plus Cortisleep, for several months, and it feels like I've grown a third lung. My gas tank is noticeably bigger. My recovery is faster, and I'm back on the mats much quicker, not just between training sessions, but between rounds. Now you can get $30 off your first order of BioPro when you use the code FOXCAST at www.bioproteintech.com. That's code FOXCAST for $30 off your first order at www.bioproteintech.com. Thank you, BioPro.